What is up, team? And welcome back to the Technical Fowl Podcast. As always, you're joined by the three of us. I'm Jack Anderson. To my right is JP Pusilowski. And I guess I really shouldn't say, as always, you're joined by the three of us because we did not have Sanders here Sunday. But welcome back, Sanders Oakley.
Thursday. Today's Sunday.
Yeah,
right?
Thursday. Correct.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, you good.
But yeah, Sanders Oakley, as always, is to my left. Or most of the time is to my left. And today he is to my left. How are we doing today, boys?
Good. Tired. Was up late last night. I drowned my sorrows after the Missouri game in some Arc Raiders. So I did that till about 1:32 in the morning, and that helped a lot. Felt much better after that.
Valid.
Got some good stuff in that. But yeah, ready to talk about the weekend. Not ready to talk about Mississippi State. I really don't know what we're going to talk about there. I think JP's going to talk for a good bit, which I'm fine with because I'm speechless. I feel like I was speechless after the Georgia game, and I'm kind of speechless after this.
I got some things to say, man.
Well, I'm excited that y'all will get to say those things. I don't know what to say at this point, but we'll get to that. But yeah, ready to talk football.
JP?
You can just feel it in the air. I'm not a Zach Bryan guy. In fact, I really dislike his music.
Valid.
But as he said, that November air. You can just feel it in the football that you're watching now, and it's just a different kind of football. That Texas-Georgia game last night just means something different. The OU-Bama game yesterday, and then today with the NFL, the Seahawks-Rams game feels like it holds more impact than it honestly does. The Broncos-Chiefs game felt like a playoff game. It literally felt like we were watching a playoff game with Jim Nantz, Tony Romo on the call.
Sure.
So football is turning up, and that November air is very thin, and it's going to be very, very interesting month or so we got going forward.
Sure.
Especially in college football, and then about 2 months or so in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I can't wait.
No, I definitely felt what you meant, as I was up at 8:30 in the morning watching my 3-7 Commanders take on the 3-7 Dolphins. That's exactly what
you might have
late
felt that
season.
yesterday with your Aggies, though.
Oh, I definitely did. But yeah, definitely felt the late season tension.
Last night after the game, I was very quiet and disappointed. And Jack goes, "If it makes you feel any better, you want to know what I was thinking? We were down 30-3." And I just kind of looked at him, and I was like,
he gave me a big middle finger,
like,
basically.
Screw you! Like he was like, when we were down 30-3, I forget, you said
I was just like, Lord willing and the creek don't rise.
Yep.
The Lord didn't will us to win this football game today, and I was wrong. He did.
Yeah.
I was trying to offer words of advice, and you poo-pooed all over it.
Words of comfort.
Yeah, words
and
of comfort. Advice on how to be comforted in that moment.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just it was just so funny. I was like, and I think everyone else in the room, even Lucy, was like, "Yeah, I kind of see where Sanders is on this."
No.
To try and offer comfort to someone whose team has just looked dead in the water after you complete the 27-point comeback or whatever.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
Whatever, screw you, man. Trying to be helpful. I sat there and watched that whole performance with you by your side.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. It was in the moment. It cheered me up because it was really funny. If that makes you feel better, you did help.
You felt after the game like the Wolverine meme, and you were holding a picture of Kamario Taylor, but that was like in your mind basically as you're just hoping Kamario Taylor starts the Egg Bowl.
Yeah,
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Do we want to start with the top 25s?
Yeah. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's do the top 25s
after a brief hiatus.
Yeah, a week hiatus. So I'm interested to see how much movements happened. I did end up filling one out last week, so I at least had
I filled mine out last week, Saturday about 12:30 in the afternoon.
Huge.
As I was getting ready to work the women's basketball game.
Gotcha.
Or the men's basketball game. It was a men's game. So I can't wait till we can start talking about basketball,
Mine's
too.
not in the spreadsheet. I did it with my winter festivities boards peeps. So you won't see the my week.
I'm pulling
11.
it up right here.
Gotcha.
Well, we can... Oh, perfect. Thank you, JP.
Yeah, he's getting it up. But yeah, as always, we're going to run through our top 25, the three of us, and critique each other's.
Yeah.
Agree with each other in some cases. But I can go first if there's no objections to that.
Yeah, you got it.
Cool. My top 3 stay the same. Have been the same for probably about 6-ish weeks now. I don't actually know the last time I've had movement in the top 3.
Week 9.
Week 9. So just an absolute lie for me.
That was 4 weeks.
Yeah, who lost week 8? That would have
Miami.
Miami.
Yeah,
Yep,
makes
that
sense.
makes perfect sense. Anyway, my top 3 has been the same for 4 weeks now. Won't change barring losses, which could happen. We'll see.
Yeah.
Georgia, however, moves up to 4 after a big win from them, and Alabama lost. Oregon slides up to 5. Texas Tech jumps a little bit up to 6. They just keep impressing. I think they're really hitting their stride at the right time. Talking about November football, this is when you want to be playing your best football, and I think they are. Good win for Ole Miss at home. They did get saved by the refs. I can't believe they pick up that pass interference flag. Ridiculous. One of the worst calls I've seen in a long time. I don't feel like it's getting talked about enough. Probably because Florida is like 3 and 5 or whatever they are. So there's not like. It wasn't like it was a high-profile game between top 25 matchups. But like if that happens in the Georgia-Texas game, it's everywhere.
And that's how Texas wins that game in a manner like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean it's everywhere. Notre Dame stays put.
They'd still be picking the trash up off the field right now.
BYU at 9. Oklahoma jumps up big to 10. Kind of feels like they stole the win in Bryant-Denny, but a win is a win is a win. Alabama slides right behind them in at 11. Vandy's there at 12. Utah all the way up to 13. I feel like I had to readjust on them. They absolutely killed Baylor. And once again, they're playing their best football right now at the most important time. Georgia Tech drops 1 to 14. Eke out a win. Still a win. Virginia at 15. Excuse me. So I forgot, since I had a gap, they lost and then they won. So that's why they dropped 4, even though they just won.
Yeah.
Miami at 16. James Madison, 17. USC, a big win against Iowa. They're at 18. Michigan's back ranked at 19. Texas drops to 20. I know they have 3 losses, but, I mean...
They have 2 right now.
Texas has 3.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
But, I mean, you lost on the road at Ohio State. You lost on the road at Georgia. I still think you're a top 25 team. It just was not your best showing. North Texas, 21. Missouri, back ranked. I thought they looked really good. Weird QB situation factors in a little bit there. And then a couple teams either reappearing or making their first appearance in the rankings in Houston, Arizona, and San Diego State.
I can confirm Houston is not a reappearance. We have to break it down, I guess, before I bring it up. I'll bring it up on another screen.
I feel like they are a reappearance for me.
Yeah, they've been on his ballot before.
I misspoke in that entire sentence.
Do you want to
mean-
move
I
on
can,
or take
I can
take 2?
confirm that Houston is a reappearance.
Gotcha.
Yes, that
I was
agree
very
with that.
confused. I was like, they're the one that is a reappearance.
JP just trying to gaslight you. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you never ranked Houston. Like even when they were undefeated, you never ranked.
I swear I respect Connor Weigman and Dean Connors.
I mean, I don't really have anything I think of note to say. It is a little weird. We'll have to try. I'm gonna see if I can get your ballot in like post date it into last week just to like
You can't
have
look
that.
at the trends. I shouldn't have even talked about them for the first half of the ballot because they're actually not accurate relative to my last week ranking. I don't know why I didn't put it in. I was lazy, I guess, because I mean, once again,
I just forgot.
It's sitting in the spreadsheet, the Winter Festivities Board spreadsheet. So I don't know why, but yeah. Anything, JP?
Sculpt North is too high,
Sure. Classic.
per usual. And it just feels like, I guess, 15 through 25. This is just a observation of any ballot in the country right now. Just feels like, man, these are not. For one, there's a lot of non-Power 4 teams.
Yeah.
And weaker Power 4 teams, you might even argue.
Sure.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like, man, dude, much of these teams deserve to even be ranked at this spot because it's not like many of them don't have very big wins. So
Correct.
Miami is a big win, but other than that, like their best attributes to their resume are their losses,
Yeah.
competitive losses
100%.
to other teams.
And it sucks too because I swear every time I do, like especially my 20 through 25, 4 of those teams lose the next week, and so then it's like
Yeah.
I have to I'm like just recycling teams in those spots.
Texas has the Oklahoma win, which is like towing the line between a big win because Mateer coming back from that injury. It's a neutral site, but I would still call
And
that
you
a
beat
big
Vandy
win.
as well.
You do beat Vandy. True.
So you have two.
Yeah, you have. I would call those big wins for.
But I get what you're
Texas.
saying, JP. And on that note, like, I'm not barring anything egregious. Like, if you tried to rank North Carolina or something, I'm not going to fault anyone too much for their rankings in like the lower most part of their ballot.
I'm glad to hear that because I do have a team ranked that probably multiple, but I have a team that ranked that I know y'all don't have ranked because they have a big win, and then some other like tier 2 wins as well.
Yeah, I may disagree, but I'm not gonna be like I think that's like objectively wrong or like
Yeah.
An insane.
Do you
take.
want to go ahead and I can go next and JP?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
Can you guess? Have you already looked
I
at my
already
ballot?
looked at it.
Okay.
I'm
Jack,
trying to think who has a big win, multiple tier 2 wins that neither of us have ranked.
I think neither. I'm pretty sure neither of y'all have.
Is it
them ranked.
USF?
It is not USF. I'll go ahead and get into
Can
it.
you give me a conference and then I'll throw
It's
out one
Big
more
12.
guess?
Big 12.
Arizona State.
Yeah.
It is indeed Arizona State.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and walk through my ballot. It's up on the screen now, and I'll pull it up. At number 1, I still have Indiana, but I do have some movement below that. I move Ohio State up to 2 and drop A&M down to 3. Ohio State has continued to kind of rack up like the tier 2 wins, Minnesota, Illinois, Penn State, like depending on what you think of Penn State, whether you view them as, the talented team that they are, or you view them as the 3 and 6 team that they are. Is that what they are at this point?
I can't remember. Don't
Yeah.
ask me.
And then A&M early in the season has that tough challenge at Notre Dame, but I feel like as the season has worn on, they've faced like some of the bottom end of the SEC play, so that's why I give Ohio State the nod over A&M.
We're just hating. Crazy.
All right, but yeah. At 4, I've
You
got
saw
Georgia.
firsthand last night how hard it is to win at Missouri.
True, true. At 4, I've got Georgia. At 5, Texas Tech. Ole Miss at 6, Oregon at 7, Oklahoma at 8. Oklahoma is a big mover because they beat Alabama, and when you rank them close, like I've got to give Alabama Oklahoma the nod. So like I think at one point I had Alabama at 8 and Oklahoma at 10, and I was like, well, those teams are really close. I feel like I need to give Oklahoma the nod there and move them up those extra couple spots. So Miami and Notre Dame do not move at 10 and 11. They're still sitting there. Vanderbilt drops a few spots to 12. At 13, we've got BYU, who moves up 1. USC moves up a couple. USC, I think, has some good wins in Michigan, Nebraska, Iowa, and then below them, you've got Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a really tough team to rank, in my opinion, because they've got a really good record, but they haven't really. They've played Clemson. They beat Clemson. They beat Duke. The Clemson team that we now know to not be great, but at the time they were good.
They're a bowl eligible team. They just beat Louisville on the road.
Yes, sorry, they are not the preseason top 5 team we thought they were. And where were they ranked at the time that they lost? They were still top 10 when Georgia Tech beat them. Is that right?
They were in the teens, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Michigan at 16, Utah at 17, Texas at 18, James Madison at 19, and then like JP said, a lot of G5 teams. James Madison, North Texas, UVA at 21, Illinois at 22, and then Tulane, Navy, and Arizona State round out the top 25. So 4 new teams ranked this week. And like I said, the movement is also in a weird spot for me because I made my ballot in 5 minutes. So last week's ballot, because I did it at like 12 o'clock on Saturday. So it was a very thrown together last minute situation.
I mean, my biggest grievance has been almost my biggest grievance every week, and I just still don't understand Ohio State not at 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to rehash that except just mentioning it so I can say I did, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I can hold my ground.
Score up north is way too high.
Yeah.
Without question. Kind of a non-argument there. I guess I'm wondering what propels Vanderbilt higher than some of these teams below them. I think there's on the field wise, I think Vandy's better, but if you're just a resume,
Because I think
person.
if you look, I have Vanderbilt and Notre Dame right next to each other because I think they are in a similar situation where they've got a couple good wins. Vanderbilt's got the Missouri and the LSU win. Notre Dame's got a USC win, a Pitt win now, depending on how you view that win on the road at Pitt. But I think they're both in similar situations where all the eye test stuff looks great. They don't have like the huge win that some of the teams above them do. They've got good wins, and then their only losses are against really good teams. Vanderbilt's losses to Alabama and Texas, right? In Texas, you lose by 3. In Alabama, you lose that game due to some really unfortunate. You make a couple mistakes in the red zone. You do lose the game, but I think that it makes sense to rank Vanderbilt and Notre Dame right next to each other because I think they are in similar situations.
I
But
feel like
does it
BYU at least should be ahead of them.
Yeah, does it make sense to rank Vanderbilt over BYU? Imagine the top 11 just disappeared and they were in a void, and you had to pick who is 1 or 2 between Vanderbilt and BYU. Who would you pick? I understand that argument, but
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I think it's close.
And also, we're BYU pods. I need to defend BYU here.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
No, I do think it's close, but I
Because they have one less loss,
Yeah.
and they fall under the same argument you just made,
yeah,
where they lost to a really good team. And in fact, a really, really good team, according to you.
true.
The 5th best team in the country compared
Yeah.
to 9 and 18.
Yeah.
Lost on the. I mean, same situation. Lost
Yeah.
on the road.
The loss looked a little bit different. I will say that they kind of got dominated.
Vanderbilt got dominated by Bama. Vanderbilt got dominated by Texas for 3 quarters and then made a flying comeback at the end.
Yeah,
I no credit to BYU for forcing field goals, I guess, or the response they had this weekend. Vanderbilt was on a bye and
Yeah.
then had barely survived Auburn.
I was gonna say too. I heard the bye gave them some trouble.
Okay,
yeah.
It was
At bye is a tough place to play.
it was at home too. So
I would have to go check and see who they were playing on that bye week
Yeah,
because I know you had put that. Other than that,
it might
like I
have been
said-
Starkville High. I know I put Starkville High for a couple teams.
Gotcha.
I think that may be one of my favorite jokes we have on the show.
They're not a bad. Starkville High is not bad. Just think School of North too high. Ohio State should be 1, and I just disagree with where BYU's ranked.
Yeah,
Other than that, like it's kind of all like I think what I was kind of getting at with the 15 through 25. It feels just all arbitrary. It feels like anyone could have any really take,
and
it
it's
would-
hard to disagree.
Yeah,
wouldn't
it's
really
impossible.
because at this
matter.
point, everyone like the circle of parity in that 15 through 25
it's just jacked.
Yeah, because you've got AAC teams there in Navy, North Texas, and you've got South Florida and Memphis on the outside, but there's mutual opponents there. It's all kinds of a tangled up
That's
mess.
what's going to be fun about the coming weeks is assuming Ohio State isn't as dominant as at least you say they are, and they aren't as dominant as they were last year. It's really going to be anyone's game down the stretch, because every team has a flaw for the most part, or an event, a game that wasn't as good as you thought it should be.
Yep.
Texas A&M last week, and then
We had a
Indiana
half,
2 weeks
yeah.
ago. True, yeah, just a half.
The half from hell.
And
Want to do yours, JP?
probably the best half of the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
It's like an Eagles game right there for you.
As someone tweeted at halftime, it was like A&M just needs a score and a stop and a score and a stop and a score and a stop and a score, and they're right back in it. And
They did that.
we did just that.
Yeah, we can do to me. That's me up there. Ohio State, number 1 still. Indiana 2, A&M 3. Georgia moves into 4. They still need some help to make the SEC championship, but given that this is the sport of college football and given how the season has gone, what they need is pretty likely to happen. It's probably a 50-50 coin flip, but we'll get into that after we talk Georgia, Texas in a little bit. Oregon 5, I have Texas Tech 6. I really debated OU where they're at. And in fact, at one point I had Bama ranked 7th and OU ranked 10th. I had them flipped. And then I tried to contextualize what I saw in person yesterday as I was in Tuscaloosa. And I remember the text I sent to many group chats, my family group chat, our college guys group chat, my friends group chat, to my mom, which is a great group chat.
Was it you? Was it just your mom?
Just my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you and your mom have a group chat.
Yes. You should all have a group chat with your mom. I witnessed history. I just witnessed history because no team really ever wins in Tuscaloosa. No team in the Kalen DeBoer era has ever won in Tuscaloosa until yesterday. The last time anyone had won there was when Texas went in there with Quinn Ewers and Steve Sarkisian, which is really only one of his, really the only one. There's only one other big-time win that he has as a head coach. One of them, I think, you maybe could argue last year, the winning in at A&M. And with that, because of that, even with how the way that game went, I sit here today and I think that is the best win anyone's had this year. That is just on paper, that is the best win anyone's had this year.
Really? Better than Indiana's win in Oregon?
I think it's better than that win. I think it's better than Oregon's win at Penn State, Bama winning at Georgia. I think it's the best win anyone's had this year, from just an impact standpoint. And I think it's an all-time win.
Sure.
Because no one wins in Tuscaloosa. It's
and
a top 4 team in the country. It's an incredible win.
And I'll say, the word impact makes me agree with you, and I like that you use that word. Well, I don't like it. It's an interesting word to use because I think that the word impacts implies that when the win happened matters. Mm-hmm. And so because we're here halfway through November with some teams with 1 game left to play, 2 weeks of the regular season left, like the wins that happen now are more impactful. And so I think that I would agree with you that is probably the most impactful win of the season because of when in the season it occurred. And also, I would, if you hadn't used that word, I would say that Indiana at Oregon, Oregon at Penn State, Oklahoma at Alabama are all like the same tier, and I would not put one above the other. But because you used the word impact, I think that's a fair take.
I don't necessarily disagree. The only game I think maybe would have more impact, and it has impact in a different way, is Oregon going and beating Penn State and kind of what that did to Penn State's season and their program. But that's in a little bit of a different light, so I don't necessarily disagree. But continue with your rankings.
Splitting hairs there, too.
Yeah, correct.
But that was a huge debate in my mind, and then I contextualized what I had seen yesterday. And so I flipped them again, and Oklahoma 7, School of North sits at 8, properly ranked where they are. And we hope for good things in 2 weeks, but we'll see. Notre Dame is at 9 and then Bama at 10. I guess at this point it may end up being mine. We'll see how this show goes.
Do they have like a hand gesture, a hand symbol?
Who?
Because I like flashing Gig'em at the camera, or
Who are you asking about?
Horned
The
Frogs,
Cougars,
the Cougars,
BYU.
like BYU.
That's a great question. We should.
I don't recall one from watching the game last night.
Okay.
They probably just hit with the classic, the one finger, number 1. That's a classic.
I can't even recall one hand gesture. I love watching a BYU home crowd because it's funny to see how they react. One kid drank a shoey. He did a shoey, but it was a Celsius.
Yeah, of course.
Not a beer because they don't drink alcohol there.
Did you see what they did at their basketball game, the dating show?
I didn't see that.
It was basically like, do you agree or disagree with this? They had a guy and a girl, and at the end it was like, and they had signs, you hold up, agree, disagree, and then at the end it was like, do you want to go on a date with this person? And they both held up agree. So
that's
very
awesome.
BYU. They're probably getting married in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, something like that.
I hope we can get invited.
I've seen plenty of BYU student TikToks, and those are always hilarious, of interviewing students there. Their favorite party drinks being milk, grape juice,
Dude, I love milk. I would go there.
root beer, obviously.
But that's not your favorite party drink.
True. But if everyone was drinking it, if the peer pressure was there, I would embrace it, and it would be awesome.
Sure.
at a Christmas party, that's about the only time it makes sense. I think other than
Some
that,
cookies
like,
and milk.
why are you having milk at a party? But all that being said, BYU, it may be my team. I still think it's our team a little bit, but we'll see how this show goes and how that breakdown goes the Texas Tech BYU one did not go well
Nope.
last week. So we'll see how it goes here in a little bit. GT is at 12, Vanderbilt 13, and the Dukes of James Madison at 14. It feels just crazy to have JMU that
Go Dukes.
high.
It does. It feels very crazy.
But I look below them, I'm like, do I feel comfortable ranking any of these teams above them? Not really. I watched that JMU Louisville game, and so I know really how close they actually were to winning that game. And they would be 9-0, and I think they have a little bit of a difference to Boise State last year because obviously Boise State had Genty running for the Heisman potentially. But I think they'd be viewed in the same light. I think the discussion would be pretty similar. They wouldn't get the same benefit because of the first-round buys that being changed this year like Boise State did. But I think it's their spot to lose for the Group of 5 bid now that the ACC more than likely won't have the doomsday scenario with Duke winning it and there being 2 Group of 5 teams. I think it's JMU's to lose at this point, and I don't expect them to lose it given how they performed this past weekend. They blew out another Sun Belt team. They host Washington State, and it'll be a test because Washington State is technically a Power 5 team and pushed the school up north, and they also pushed another school as well.
Who was it?
I can't recall off the top of my head.
I'm not going to remember either. But just know it was back-to-back weeks.
They played Washington.
Yeah.
Who?
Was
They
it
did lose
Washington?
to Oregon State, but I don't think it was Washington that they pushed. I'm not going to remember, sadly.
But JMU, it's theirs to lose. They're at 14. USC 15, North Texas 16, Utah 17, Miami 18, Virginia is at 19, Michigan is at 20. Texas, Houston, Arizona, San Diego State. I agree with that order with you, Jack. I just have them a little higher. And then I think go Navy beat Army because I almost joined the Naval Academy once. Navy deserves to be at 25 with their impressive win over USF this weekend.
Sure.
Quick tangent, and then we can get into the criticisms and critiques or compliments. Oh, criticisms, critiques. That's a good one.
the 3
Um,
C's.
Were you almost about to apply or about to join? Because from what I've heard, getting in is very difficult.
I guess apply
Okay.
would be the word. They did the like nuclear submarine program they have for mechanical engineers at State. They gave a really good pitch in one of my classes, and I really considered.
Oh, this is
doing
while
it.
you were in college.
This was a year and a half ago.
Oh.
I really only considered it in my mind. I jokingly brought it up to my girlfriend at the time. Well, I guess it's still at the time. And I never brought it up to my parents. So, Mom, if you're listening to this, I never seriously thought about joining the Navy. But I thought about it mainly because they were offering a boatload of money that they pay you while you're in school. And it seemed like a really cool opportunity.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm a go Navy beat Army guy, personally.
See, I've always been a go Army beat Navy guy.
A
And
lot of people are.
That's just, and the reason for that is I grew up watching all of these old World War II movies with my grandfather.
Sure.
Like we lived with my grandparents, my whole family did for like my whole childhood. And so lunch break, we were homeschooled. Lunch break was watching World War II movies with my grandfather.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I watched a lot of those, and I was just always an Army guy, But to your ballot, my question is, I've always been under the impression that you do these are the 25 best teams, correct?
Yeah.
And I just don't think James Madison is the 14th best team in the country. I think there are several teams below them that would beat them if they
Sure.
played.
Maybe.
Some teams far below them.
Florida would probably beat them.
Yes,
Arkansas.
But the one that stands out to me the most is Utah, and I don't know why Utah. It just feels like a team that like, especially because it surprises me. I just have Josh Pate's the JP poll from last week, and Utah's a top 10 power rated team. That's like my one question is like, why do you have JMU at 14th? I feel like they're not the 14th best team in the country. Like I don't have a problem with them being ahead of USC because USC is kind of a weird team where you've got highs and lows. But I feel like
they can't win on the road.
Right, but I feel like Utah is the kind of team that would just beat JMU and that they would be heavily. I don't want to say favored because you play the games, but I just feel like Utah's a better team than JMU.
Yeah, that's fair. I try to do a combination, but I like to, and this one I'm fully leaning to. This is a merit one for JMU. I just think they with one loss to Louisville,
Yeah.
a good ACC team. I think they have shown more weeks of really, really good football than Utah has. Utah has had their up and downs this year.
Sure.
Yeah.
And their lows in their 2 biggest games of the season, I'd argue, unless someone wants to argue the Cincinnati game was bigger. So I think they deserve the nod over Utah. But I think that's a fair argument. There's plenty of teams that beat JMU. I'd be curious to think, do y'all think State would beat JMU?
I think JMU would beat State.
Yeah. After yesterday, I agree.
Maybe not early season.
I'm going to take the
Who's
Dogs.
at
Maybe
quarterback?
not
Who's
early
playing
season
quarterback?
State.
Blake Shapen.
Blake Sheaves. I'm picking JMU. All right.
JMU just had more speed and size than a lot of other Group of 4 programs have, and then they showed that in the Louisville game. I'm never going to have to get sold on my Dukes. Go Dukes. In terms of, someone saying they're good. I'm going to always believe that. I was hoping that they would just randomly land the game day slot.
Yeah, this would have been the week 4 with Washington State, but they're going to go to Oregon and USC.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
So technically the best game of the weekend.
Yeah, I won't hate that either. My biggest thing, and I think it's a hater thing from you / a rivalry thing, but Ole Miss being right below Oklahoma, I disagree with, considering we saw them play and we saw the outcome not that long ago. But also, you refer to them as Old Piss, and you're a State student and fan, so...
Yeah, I'm not even. So that's what you're That's what you're talking about earlier, because you said you gave it to Oklahoma because they had the best win of the season.
He was really talking about Oklahoma-Bama, because he has
Oh.
Bama still above Oklahoma.
So what's the explanation for Oklahoma? Literally, Oklahoma and Ole Miss right next to each other, and you give it to Oklahoma
What's Ole Piss's best win?
at Oklahoma.
Well, Oklahoma, I think, has a much better win than that at Bama, and they also include 2 other ranked win at the time, Auburn.
They
but
do
a-
have 2
a win
losses.
over Michigan. Hey, we can use the close losses.
Sure.
Even though they weren't necessarily close. The Ole Piss one was kind of close. I also think that was some John Mateer stuff there. I think OU's a better team than them right now,
Okay.
and that's why they're 7 and Ole Piss is 8. We watched the Ole Piss game. They should have lost that game.
Yep. Maybe. They should have had a better chance to lose it.
Absolutely. Against Florida.
I found there was a Florida fan on Twitter trying to defend, an Ole Miss fan on Twitter trying to defend and say that the player and the ball got there at the same time. And then a Florida fan posts a screenshot of the player getting hit as the ball's still like a foot away. And then he goes, nah, but if you watch it live, like, they get there at the same time. And it's like, watching it live doesn't make the ball appear at a different time.
Yeah.
Like, the ball doesn't get to the player at a different time. than it
Unless
does
the
in
ball
this
is traveling at the speed of light.
True. Yes. But
It
then
just
you want to...
looks a little closer, I guess.
Would you really be able to see the ball in the picture if it was traveling at the speed of light? Like, what?
I don't know, bro. I made a C
We've
in
gone too
physics.
we've
Yeah.
we've gone too theoretical. Let's move on.
I used to be an engineering major. JP would be the one to answer that. Let's talk football and not
Yeah.
physics.
Let's get into the weekly takeaways.
I can do
shall we?
parabolic motion. That's about it.
Sure.
Weekly takeaways. We will start with our game.
Well, like weekly, just general
thank you.
weekly
You're right.
takeaways.
You're right.
Yeah,
Apologies. I've got some. You start talking. Let's see what we got.
We can start with my Aggies, because what a wild time it was to kick off Saturday. As in the first half, it literally, you keep thinking it can't get worse for A&M, and they've made their play. That's like their lowest play of the day, in terms of whether it was a Marcel Reed terrible interception, or a defensive bust, or a missed field goal, you name it, a bad penalty, and it just kept happening and happening and happening. And credit to South Carolina for coming out firing. Lenore Sellers looked good. They were mixing up the play calling a little bit, considering they fired Mike Shula. This was their first game with the new play caller. Moving the pocket, giving us some different looks. And then the offense, can't get any run game going.
Yeah.
And I think we panicked a little bit and went away from it almost completely when there's still so much time left in the game. And then Marcel Reed gets panicked and can't make a read to save his life. And then when he does make a good read and throws a good pass, the receiver literally drops it. Thinking about KC Conception, the end zone drops one that hits him in the chest.
Yep.
Mario Craver for a first down along the sidelines drops one. Horrendous football. And then you have Nick Harbor with the cop in the tunnel that got a lot of buzz. It was just terrible all around. Johnny Manziel's on the sideline in his goofy little hat, watching it unfold. Wild hat, by the way. I still don't know why he was wearing that. And so all that happens, and we get to halftime, and we're down 30-3. And Shane Beamer walks in the tunnel, hyping up the crowd, doing his thing. And it was like, this kind of feels like game's over. A&M obviously didn't agree.
They were doing to y'all what y'all did to LSU.
Yeah, to an even greater degree.
Yeah.
And then we literally, I just can't believe how easy we made it look, which is half credit to us, and also South Carolina just shut down. As soon as we got the momentum back, they didn't really offer much resistance. But scroll to, I don't know the exact time, but yeah, we score with to take the lead, and there's still 9+ minutes left in the game. That's I think what I mean by it was almost felt so easy. I was like, almost immediately we're kind of back in this game. Key play, Marcel Reed 4th and 12 scrambles. Linebacker comes up to tackle him 5 yards short of the stick, and he just hits a little stutter step and gets around him. Scoots gets the first. We end up scoring a touchdown off of that. Shout out Isaiah Williams' first catch of the year was our first touchdown of the day because Mario Craver at that point was no longer playing in the game. Very resilient, very impressed, but also just very relieved that we got the dub, especially considering we announced we extended Elko.
Yeah, that morning. But, if you think about it, it really wasn't that hard of a comeback. All you needed was a stop and a score and a stop and a score and a stop and a score and a stop and a score.
Well, flip that, but yeah, because we got ball first.
Sorry, a score and a stop and a score and a stop and a score and a stop and a score and a stop.
But we really did make it so easy, and I feel like that has to mark the end of the Shane Beamer era at the end of the season. Just pure outrage from South Carolina fans.
Yeah.
But I don't know if y'all have any thoughts on that game. It was just why. Biggest comeback in SEC history in terms of an SEC versus SEC matchup.
Yeah. South Carolina started 3 for 7 on third down. They finished 4 for 15.
Yeah, we got back to our ways in the second half. We gave up 78 yards of offense in the second half.
Yep.
Yeah, massive difference. A&M's drive chart, you compare them half to half. It's a lot of words here, but field goal, missed field goal, the fumble return for a touchdown for South Carolina.
Yeah.
3 and out, 5 and out, missed field goal after a pick by Lenore Sellers in plus territory.
We returned it to our own 12-yard line or something like that.
Interception on the second play, halftime. Second half, 8 plays, 35 yards, touchdown. 7 plays, 70 yards, touchdown. 2 plays, 80 yards, touchdown. 10 plays, 98 yards, touchdown. And then a fumble, knee it out into the game.
Which, real quick, that fumble, I thought we were going to lose. I don't know if you saw the play that fumble was, but it's 3rd and 1 on the goal line, and we direct snap it to the halfback with an option for him to just basically dive or pitch it to Marcel Reed. Well, he's a true freshman running back, never has to make those kinds of decisions. The defensive end comes through, gets a great burst off the edge, and gets in his face pretty quickly. And so he just turns and fires a pass towards Marcel Reed, which goes behind Marcel Reed, and they get on it for a touchdown. Or a recovery, sorry. Insane play call on 3rd and 1 from the goal. I had some friends arguing with me no, it was the right play call. It was there. But I'm just very much you need 1 yard while you're introducing that many variables, and also it's literally a true freshman running back. Marcel Reed's been cooking just put it in his hands at that point.
Yeah, 3rd and 1 in the second quarter from your own 42-yard line. That might be a fine call. Maybe up 17. 2nd and goal from the 1-yard line. That's an okay call.
Yeah.
Maybe not the biggest
play of the game.
At that point.
Because also, at that point, the run game, we started to lean on them a little bit in the run game. I agree, especially in the first half when we could get nothing in the run game. They were dominating our offensive line. like, okay, maybe, yeah, you need to throw in a wrinkle to get a yard. But at that point, our offensive line kind of had remembered to, like, had found their physicality. And just South Carolina's defense had been on the field for, I don't even know how many minutes in the second half. Had to be a ton. Just a crazy play call. It worked out because Lenore Sellers basically takes 2 sacks in a row and then tries to scramble for the first on 4th and 16, which is not the best move, but also nothing was open downfield.
Yeah.
So
I have talking about the run game, I have the by half rushing statistics. In the first half, South Carolina had 18 carries, averaging 6 yards a carry. Y'all had 11 carries. Do you know how many yards per carry you averaged?
-1.
It was -0.8.
-0.8, yeah.
Yeah. And then in the second half, South Carolina, 15 carries for 0.9 yards per carry. So, everything about the game flipped. The dynamic flipped entirely. It was crazy. Time of possession flipped almost exactly, 17 and a half minutes for South Carolina, and then 17 and a half minutes, or 17:45 in the second half for y'all. So, almost a mirror image of a game.
It's a perfect way of putting it. It's about the ultimate tale of two halves game you'll ever see. Just truly wild. Shout out the fans. I mean, I wouldn't expect anyone to leave. You're the number 3 team in the country, but everyone was there still come second half. Everyone was still fully bought in.
Yeah.
Just kind of praying that the team gave them something to get loud about. And as soon as they did, they took it and ran.
If they didn't score a touchdown on that first drive, I
Correct.
think that's when it kind of empties out because
Sure.
you still hold out hope there. Only down 27 at the time. It's a little moment that kind of passes by, and you don't think much of it when it happens. But Shane Beamer botched the end of the first half, and to be honest, I think that is a large part. And now, of course, there are 50-something plays in the second half.
Yeah.
I think it's a large part in the reason that they lost this game. They pick up a first down on a 14-yard run, and he just kind of waits to call a timeout, and they completely just botch as they have first and goal from the 9.
Yeah. Well, he waits after the 2-yard pass, too.
Yes.
And it came out because he thought the pass was incomplete. So he's just standing there while the clock's running because he didn't realize it was caught, which is a bad look because your whole job is to realize it was caught and the clock's running.
Yeah, and like I said, at the time, it's the difference between 34-3 and 30-3. Why does it matter? Well, A&M only got the 31 points. Maybe that doesn't hold as much impact as you think, but that's a 3-point victory right there and a +4 differential to end the half. It's just a huge moment. Every moment matters in a football game. State fans should know that really, really well. It doesn't matter what the score is. When you don't start executing on the little things, those can pile up. Momentum is a huge thing, and the momentum just completely swung towards the Aggies' way. Walking through Tuscaloosa, walking to the stadium as this is going on was a great experience. A lot of cheering because most of it was in the first half. I was behind, so I have the broadcast on my phone. I'm behind all the bars around me, and everyone starts cheering when Randy Bond, that's your kicker, right? Randy Bond hits the upright on the short field goal.
24-yarder.
Everyone's cheering, and I don't have to look at my phone. I know, he missed the field goal.
Which is a very weird place to be in, I will say, because this is easily A&M's most successful year that I vividly remember. Like, I was watching the games during the Johnny Manziel years, but I wasn't fully bought in, and I was 8 at the time, so I didn't understand a bunch of nuance. But to see videos of the people in Athens, because it's Texas and Georgia fans waiting for their game to kick off, all cheering for us to lose because obviously Texas is our rival, but then Georgia wants to go to the SEC championship game, so they would love for us to lose. It's just a spot I've never been in as a fan, and it's very weird, but also pretty cool.
Like having the target on your back?
Yeah, a little bit. And it also, it feels a whole lot better sitting here knowing everyone clowned us during the first half, Texas fans especially, didn't go radio silent when we come back, and then they get kind of dominated in Athens and
They
lose
got
to Georgia
dominated,
yet
not kinda.
again. Yeah, dominated. And so now they just have to not only eat crow about what they said at halftime of the A&M game, but also eat crow about what they've said all week about how they're going to go and shock the world in Athens.
This
so
is
it's a good spot to be in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Final one. Like, this is just proof that this year, again, you see it every week, but it's another proof that even the best team in the SEC can be in a competitive game at home versus a 3-6 SEC team.
Yeah.
This conference is so deep. Really, anyone can compete with anyone, and this was just another example of it. What a great lesson to teach and hopefully learn for A&M, though, getting to do it in a win.
Always better to learn in wins than losses.
Yeah, saving their season. I think there's only one path to where they miss the SEC championship, and that would involve Old Piss winning the Egg Bowl. That would involve them, of course, beating Texas.
Texas
beating them, and Bama beating Auburn, and then I think some other like strength of schedule things have to work out too,
Yeah.
where it ends up being Georgia and the school up north.
We're in a bit of a tough spot, strength
Then
of
Auburn
schedule
would beat
wise.
Alabama because Alabama would get in over Georgia.
Basically, we
Not if it's in a 3-team
Oh,
race.
yeah, and then they beat the
If-
circle, yeah.
if we lose, we need Alabama and Ole Miss to both lose for us to make it because our strength of schedule is just, especially relative to the top dogs.
They
is
showed
weaker.
a great graphic during the broadcast of all the teams that A&M has so far played.
Yep.
And they will kind of get to do it again, getting to play Texas. So we may really only find out what they are kind of made of in the SEC championship. But that is a take that a lot of people are going to have, that it's just stupid. Because given the nature of the SEC this year, I don't care who you're playing.
Yeah.
Even if you're not playing the teams up top. The teams up top as well have flaws too. Georgia has flaws. School up north has flaws. Bama showed their flaw.
We have flaws, evidently. I mean, we just played a dud of a first half.
So I think it's still a testament, and A&M deserves to be thought of highly, winning 7 straight in the SEC.
I appreciate it. I mean, I agree. Obviously, I'm never gonna be like, oh, we're actually not that good, despite us being undefeated 10-0. But like, we went on the road, beat Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
We went and beat LSU in Death Valley. I know they're not great, but like, you still don't really go win in Death Valley. And they at that point were still fighting for their lives. They were a dying team. They were not a dead team.
Yep.
We went and won at Mizzou. I know they didn't have their quarterback, but that still is a good defense, and we kind of went and put it on them.
It's not like y'all played Kentucky
Yep.
either. Y'all didn't even get to play
I
Kentucky.
know, yeah, like you're saying,
Kentucky's
our
the
schedule's
worst
easy.
team.
We didn't get to play Kentucky. Cutter Bowley's kind of cooking, man. I mean,
True.
He
respect
is.
Cutter Bowley. So, but yeah, it's still. There's a reason I don't always trust ESPN's metrics, but like, we have the number one strength of record because most top 25 teams would not be able to do what we've done against our schedule. Yeah, it's easier than Oklahoma's schedule by a lot, but that doesn't mean it's easy, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. What is Chromie saying?
Chromie's saying haters will say they expect Aggies to lose every game then when they don't. It's because they played no one, and people are just jealous of the Bucky's money.
Yeah, it's like it's one of the things, like, you can't have it both ways. You can't be like, oh, I think A&M's going to go in and lose to Mizzou because that Mizzou run game and defense is really good, and then we go and do it, and it's like, well, Mizzou's really not that good,
Yeah.
so like, I'm not going to count it.
Freshman quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
But that can be enough on
I agree.
your Aggies. Actually, last one on that. Where does that rank for you? Does that rank pretty highly in terms of an Aggie victory? Because for us, at least for me, I won't speak for Sanders. The State's win over Auburn and the 28-3 comeback is really high on my rankings. And in fact, in terms of the university rankings, it's really high because it's got its own board in the student section walk-in in the stadium as one of our games to remember or whatever. Where does this rank for you?
It's very high for multiple reasons. A historic comeback. It saves the season. There's a feeling of like, oh, I can't wait now to go like watch the post-game presser and see all the celebrations and stuff. But also, South Carolina was our SEC East permanent rival. This is the last time we'll play them every year because they're not one of our permanent opponents the next 4 years. They've beat us twice since we joined the SEC, I believe, so we don't really lose to them. But they beat us last year and kind of was kicked off the derailing of our season. And then in the first quarter, Shane Beamer's talking about that. It's like, oh, we beat them by 24 last year, so like, we know we can beat these guys. Like, we've done it before, we can do it again. And so that was like, all right, bro, that didn't really sit right with me. But then he's trouncing us, so I have to respect it. But then we go win, and that adds some satisfaction.
Absolutely.
So it's up there, but it's not higher than beating Alabama in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
It's not higher than beating LSU in 7 overtimes. Top 5, that's probably what I would say.
Yeah, it gets to be a YouTube highlight you get to turn on every once in a while because you get to see how the comeback happened.
I'll start at the first half. I
feel like you got to watch the whole first half because, like, for me, I'll go back and watch if it like pops up in my suggested for no reason the 28-3 comeback for the New England Patriots.
Sure.
And Tom Brady. I'll go because I hate the Falcons and it's a lot, and that's a whole other story because I won't even get into it. But I go back and watch that. And I'll watch the whole thing because I just want to have the whole context again.
I probably would watch through closed eyes.
Okay.
I do need to go.
It would be a really rough watch.
Yeah. I need to go back and watch the video that like Texas A&M Athletics put out of the game highlights and see how many seconds of the video is first half, like what the percentage of first half to second half is there, because there very well is only like 5 first half highlights, and then it picks up from there. But yeah, we can move on. We talked about that a lot.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it was historic.
Probably one of the best games of the weekend as well.
It was the talk of the 11 o'clock slate, which initially people thought Indiana also was going to be on upset watch, but they pulled away after kind of a slow first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of other. I mean, we already talked about it, but the PI, flag picked up PI in the Ole Miss Florida game, which was a good game, by the way. Florida gave Ole Miss 60 minutes, all they wanted.
Yeah.
Jaden Baugh is so freaking good. You had like the 4th down stand by Florida on the goal line, which is huge.
First drive of the second half, too.
Yep. Like, gotta have it. You're up at half, and you go do that. Obviously, you couldn't get it done, but I just I would not want to play Florida again. I still think that's a quality team. They just can't win games unless they're playing State, and then State will win the game for them. But
True.
They just really can't. They can't finish the job. They can't quite get it done. But they're so fun to watch because they have so much talent.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have all the theatrics at the end of the game. Lane Kiffin gives Lacey his belt, like from his waist, and then Lacey starts snapping it like belt to ass after the interview at the middle of the field to end the game.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin gives a ball to the fans, gives his visor, and then all the post-game stuff are like, yeah, I'm not going to talk about leaving right now. I'm enjoying my time here, and it'd be disrespectful to the players to talk about it. And everyone's like, not a denial. Just great stuff. And then, of course, he's such an interesting guy because he can't help himself to throw a jab when the opportunity's presented because he gets asked about the fans and how good they were, and he's like,
they weren't good last week.
yeah, they showed up for Florida, but like, were you here last week? And it's like,
he's right.
He's
He's
right.
100% right.
But what other coach says that in that moment?
No
None.
one.
Correct. And that's why he's so awesome, and I actually do really, really like Lane Kiffin.
I'll love him once he's not at Ole Miss.
Like, in terms of just a college football personality, who's taking his belt off and giving it to a player to do belt-to-ass celebration with? Who's saying that in the presser? Like, it's just who's on Twitter active memeing all week and then going and like following through and winning.
I was about to answer Mike Leach. I feel like would have done things like that. He was just a goofy, impulsive guy who just it's just funny you say that because you asked like who would do stuff like that, and like the first name that comes to mind is Mike Leach.
Mike Leach was impulsive and like different in his own way, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like he just has his own little sayings and his own gruff way of doing things. I don't know if it fits quite in the same vein as Lane Kiffin. Like it doesn't manifest itself in the same way.
Yeah, but I'm just like specifically
like Lane Kiffin's kind of a little mean.
That's maybe. I'm just in like the post game interview where I think it was Alyssa Lang. He's talking to Alyssa Lang and he like tells her to elope.
Yeah.
Like it's just like the impulsive stuff like that. It like kind of reminds me of like his impulsiveness.
And it is cool because I feel like his impulsiveness really fit Mississippi State, while Lane Kiffin's impulsiveness and the way it manifests really fits the school of Ole Miss.
Well said.
Rest in peace, Mike Leach, the Pirate.
I think Kenny Dillingham. I think he kind of fits that a little bit.
Completely agree. Him talking about Clash Royale is a highlight of the moment.
Absolutely. Ole Miss got lucky. Their time will come, I guess you could say. But at the same time, this is a really dangerous team with a really dangerous offense, and Florida is a really, really good team. So I don't think this should be viewed as a, oh my gosh, Ole Miss cheated their way to a win over a 3-6 at the time SEC team, because we just made the same argument 5 minutes ago with A&M in South Carolina, and this also just completely backs up my argument that I just made earlier as well.
I still think it's a pretty solid win. I do think the call is bad. I actually don't think the game got robbed because there is an equally almost as bad call in the first half where there's a hands to the face on a field goal attempt. What's up, Sven? We're about to get to the state game, but they call hands to the face on the Florida player, but they say it was after the kick. So it's just enforced on a kickoff, and the ball's not even through the uprights, and as the guy's helmet is getting pushed off. So, like, they would have had the ball on the 3-yard line, Ole Miss that is, ready to go. Wow, 3 a.m.
Do we want to go into the state?
That's dedicated.
Do you want to go do the state thing now so Sven can go to bed?
Sure, man.
And then if we have any other games, we can talk about them in a bit.
I don't really have any other games.
Yeah, I made some
honest.
other. I made Clemson, Louisville.
We can get to
I
those.
did South Florida Navy.
We can circle back.
Yeah,
Let's get to state,
Let's
though.
do state.
I'm interested to see what Sven says.
Yeah, he said he has 2 things before he goes to bed. I throw the graphic up. We can get started whenever.
Yeah. Tough game for Mississippi State on the road. They go to Missouri, looking to hang around, and the defense doesn't really show up at all. Ahmad Hardy ends up having 300 yards on the ground, and Missouri wins comfortably 49-27, and a pretty emotional win for them given a 2-game slide. Y'all's thoughts on this game?
Sanders, you can go ahead if you want. Oh, you don't have much to say.
Well, we'll start with what Sven's talking about in the chat then.
Okay.
He's saying first of his 2 points, Camario has to start right now without any questions asked. Second point, I think this is, he's saying Lebby has to get a play caller in. Do y'all both agree at this point Camario needs to start?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, I don't feel like that's at all contentious. Like, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a State fan anywhere that's going like, no, I think we got to roll Shapen back out there.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me why he left Shapen in. I watched the post-game interview after skipping the Georgia game. I think I skipped the Georgia game because I was just we just got our butts whooped, and did not enjoy that. So I was like, I'll watch the Missouri game and see what he has to say about Shapen. And when he asked why he continues to start Shapen, his answer was, Shapen helps us avoid wasted plays. With Shapen at quarterback, we don't have wasted plays. Mm-hmm. And I just had flashbacks to the sacks, to the 4th and short where he just throws it in the dirt at the feet of his wide receiver, to the missed deep balls, the missed slants. And all I could think was, these are all wasted plays. And I get that no college quarterback is perfect, but if your argument for leaving a guy in who doesn't have the extra stuff that Camario Taylor clearly shows he has, then he can't have those wasted plays that Blake Shapen had. And then Camario Taylor comes in, and I think the first or second snap, he gets hit in the pocket and shakes off a guy and rolls out and either scrambles or makes a completion for first down. And I was just like, well, that's not a wasted play. That's taking a play that should have been a loss of 8 and turning it into a first down. It was awful. Watching Shapen walk out there for the first play of the game, I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
And then you got crafty with the 2 QB sets, and you saw a little Camario. My defense of Lebby and I guess Shapen there, even though I don't necessarily disagree with you from what I'm seeing, is like, I don't necessarily know what the play calls are. I don't know how Shapen's going through reads, even though he didn't really do a good job. And then like when Camario's out there, what's supposed to be done necessarily, I also don't see practice. And then last defensive Shapen is, regardless of who's the QB, currently you're dealt a losing hand with playing behind that offensive line. And then also when Brennan Thompson goes down, even more so, you're dealt a losing hand as a quarterback in that situation. Did Shapen play well? No, but still.
It was one of the first statements Lebby's made that I extremely disagreed with.
That's where I was.
It is one of the first statements.
Yeah, I agree that it's one of the first things he said I've disagreed with. Like, it genuinely, it made me frustrated. I just don't get it. Like, everything else he said, I've been like, oh, that's good coach speak. He's got the tears of like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. I like that. That's like the good stuff. And then some of the things he say are like, oh, that's just generic coach speak. Everyone does it. It's fine. This was just nonsensical.
I feel like that was his mindset pre-game, and he just stuck with it. I don't know if that makes sense. Like going into the game, he would have been like, I think Shapen helps like us not waste plays.
Yeah.
And would you have been a lot more likely to agree with it pre-game?
Not really.
Even not even more likely?
I would have been more likely, but I
Sure.
still wouldn't have agreed with it. Shapen has shown himself to not be the consistent, experienced veteran leader that, like, I think he still makes too many mistakes for that to be his selling point. Like,
yeah,
I
just think anyone's going to make mistakes playing this offensive
right.
line. Unless
I agree.
we roll out Tom Brady Jr.
I 100% agree that anyone would make mistakes, but that's like, if your argument to start a guy is that he's not going to make those mistakes, then he makes those mistakes. It just doesn't make
Sure.
sense.
Yeah, like I was saying, it was one of the first things I disagreed with that he had said, because it's factually incorrect, as Sanders rightfully pointed out, and then would have been my first point, but he gets the point for it. One of the first plays Kamario has should have been a sack. That would have been a negative play, and he turns a positive and out of a negative. It is one of the things that, not this is the NFL, but it's one of the things that all of the great NFL quarterbacks right now in the league get talked about all the time. What do? They make something out of nothing. They make a negative turn into a positive. And then also statistically, it's just kind of untrue, at least with Kamario, with the snaps that he's gotten. He's 15 for 24, 62% completion percentage. That's not very negative. Pretty close to where Shapen is as well. He has 4 touchdowns, no picks. He hasn't really put the ball in harm's way except for maybe one throw against Arkansas.
He had the one overthrow, but that's the only one I can remember.
And then on the ground, he has 5 touchdowns, which you can't deny, but 222 yards as well. It is. I completely disagree with the idea that Blake Shapen is going to keep you out of negative plays, especially when Blake Shapen has
Wasted plays. He didn't actually say negative plays in the press conference,
Yeah,
which was
wasted plays.
something I was listening for
It's
because
a good correction.
every press conference he's had, it's been negative plays, and throughout the entire game, every time we had a negative play, I was like, "We're going to hear about this," and he never actually said negative plays in the press conference.
I guess then that helps him, because what I was going to say is Shapen has gifted the other team 28 points so far this season from pick sixes and a fumble recovery for a touchdown against Tennessee. Kamario Taylor has not gifted the other team 28 points. Blake Shapen's also, you can check the stat, I guess, but I would assume he's the only quarterback in the Power 4 that has given the other team 28 points so far this year.
Someone tweeted that Blake Shapen now has the program record for most points awarded to other teams.
I would have to see what Will Rogers had, because Will would be very close.
Well, that's
I can remember a few pick sixes.
I agree, but
I'm-
I'll have to go back and double check
I'm not
it.
trying to defend any of
Yeah.
that or try to
I'm not trying to
break
get
down
that
Will
either.
Rogers.
I
I'm
think
just
it's
trying
just
to be
crazy that
factually correct.
if it's not Blake, then it's close. And Blake has played 14 games here,
The fact that
and Will Rogers started for 3.5 years.
the fact that it could reasonably be Blake is just as damning as if it was not him or was actually him.
To address, Sven said that he wants Levy to bring a play caller in to call the plays for him and him just be an overhead coach. I think maybe we could get to that at some point. I wouldn't do that now, because right now Levy is learning on the job, and that is part of what is going. What we've experienced this season is exactly what would come from a first-time head coach. When you don't have the talent advantage every single weekend, you're going to be in these spots a lot.
Talking about the quarterback getting dealt a losing hand, it's kind of the same thing for Levy right now as a play caller too. You scheme up the perfect play call. You have Anthony Evans open for a touchdown against A&M, and the offensive line just gets blown up and it's a pick.
Yeah.
And so I haven't seen this take, but someone could say that believes that oh, well, Dan Lanning's working out as a first-time ever head coach. Well, he's also got Nike money and the players at Oregon.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference there personally. But that being said, Dan Lanning doesn't call plays. He's an extreme motivator, and that's who he is. Levy isn't that. But I think for Levy, it is completely reasonable for me personally that he calls plays. It is something for him to be in control of the game. It is a very comfortable spot for him. It's what he's done much of his coaching career as an offensive coordinator. He's really good at it.
I would say the Missouri game was the first game where I consistently disagreed with how he was calling plays.
Absolutely.
Most of the other games have been perfectly fine
You don't
with his
like
game
9
script.
QB powers?
No, not personally. I also especially don't like the QB power, QB draw with Blake Shapen.
Yeah.
I actually really like it with Camario. I think a large part of it was execution. Now, at some point, you have to come to grips with the fact that your offensive line is just simply not – you're not executing that play. And so you got to – despite thinking, you saw something on tape during the week that you thought it was going to be a very successful play.
Let's
you have to adjust.
For those of y'all that didn't watch the press conference, I'll also explain that. He was asked about the QB draws in the red zone that prevented us from – not prevented. We just didn't get a touchdown on that drive after being gifted a penalty to put us on the 2-yard line or something like that. And he said he liked – from the tape, he liked the idea of playing 11 on 11, which basically means that when you don't hand the ball off – if you hand the ball off to your running back, the quarterback is out of the play. And so you're in playing 10v11 football. If you run QB power, you get the extra blocker. You have an extra man on the field. That's in air quotes for those of y'all listening on podcast. And so that's why he liked that, which makes sense to break that out a couple times.
Very logical, yeah.
But to do it that many times in a row didn't make a lot of sense.
And I think how many times Camario scored on that on the goal line this season.
Absolutely.
A ton.
I also
my bigger issue
Go
with
ahead.
it real quick is just like I don't necessarily mind running the quarterbacks, but I think Devon Booth and Fluff Bothwell are some of your better offensive players.
Yeah.
And so you did not get them sufficient touches in the first half, in my opinion, and part of it was because you ran the quarterback so much.
Yeah.
Can I defend him there?
Go for it.
For one, I do believe fully that he saw something on tape that he loved.
I don't disagree.
For two, I think this you can disagree with, and I imagine you would. Think maybe there's some hindsight to it for the plays going negatively. That being said, on paper, they still don't make necessarily a ton of sense to have Chapin's speed versus Camario's speed and that kind of play call. But that being said, when Camario's in the game, it's been like 80%, 90% runs, and so that's easier to technically telegraph coming. And so they can maybe just have just as close of a negative play, but I'll take Camario one-on-one with someone over Chapin with blockers in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also say for the Fluff and the Devon Booth handoffs, given his scheme, it is really, really hard to run the football when it's just snap the ball from a shotgun and hand it off with just 5 blockers in front because you've spread the receiver so wide.
Yeah.
That's really hard to do because you're essentially playing 6 on 6, and a lot of the time the safety can creep up and it's 7 on 6, and the receivers are blocking, but when they're blocking outside the numbers, it really doesn't matter, and they're not really a part of the play. And so then when your offensive line isn't as talented, especially against the defensive lines you'll play in the SEC, a lot of the time you'll lose one of those one-on-one matchups anyway, and so those plays will get ran up or burn up. They'll get destroyed a ton, and you'll see a lot more 2 yards, 3 yard carries. We have had success on that this season, but given the scheme, it's hard to continually go to that, I think, unless you think you have an offensive line advantage, and Levy clearly knows we don't, and we know we don't. That being said, he could still change the scheme and line up under center.
Yeah.
Bring in the tight ends that we have. We have physical tight ends, blocking tight ends, and Justin Ball and Sam West. Bring in an extra offensive lineman since we flip offensive linemen a ton. Albert Reese played guard in this game as well as tackle. Flip the offensive linemen, bring them in, and run it from under center. It hurts towards what he wants to do, which is play really fast and play with fast guys and move the ball a ton, but it's going to find more success in the run game.
Especially in the red zone. Like, you have to...
I absolutely
You're going to have
agree.
to get physical in the red zone in this conference to find consistent success.
And that became a huge problem yesterday when we had all those opportunities with X and goal to gain. So I think that is something that He could change, but I doubt he will because he feels like it's out of his scheme. He wants to go fast and play fast.
Which in some ways I respect someone for sticking to their guns and being confident in what they want to do.
Still, though, teams will go under center when they get close to the goal line. I don't know if Old Piss does it, but because I don't watch their games, I don't like watching the team that I hate.
They struggled in the red zone as well yesterday, and that has been somewhat of a theme for them.
I'm not
true.
surprised by that. Sven's saying like we need to get, or do you have a point, Sanders? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to address something you said and then also address what Sven was saying. You said that like we have hindsight. I think my hindsight is if you told me Kamario Taylor ran QB power 9 times in a row, like if I was told that right now, I'd be okay with it. I mean that genuinely, because you're giving potentially the most athletic guy on the field the chance to go create something in short yardage situations. That's fine. If you told me Blake Shapen did that 9 times in a row, hindsight on how it went or not, I would say that was a bad decision, a mistake, and it wouldn't go well.
Maybe overall, but we've had positive plays where he's ran. We had a
Yeah.
huge one against Florida, the first play of the series where we were going to take the lead. He scores a touchdown yesterday.
Yeah.
Running the football.
2 rushing touchdowns.
Blake does, yeah, 2. I think there's maybe a little bit both ways there.
Yeah.
But that still being said, on paper it would make more sense for it to be Kamario. But also when you run it 90% of the time when he comes in the game, it becomes harder to do that because it is telegraphed. They bring in bigger bodies or they load the box.
Yep.
Yeah, they're very much ready for it at that point, and they were yesterday.
Are you addressing the defensive coordinator thing?
I was going to address the
Go
defensive
ahead.
coordinator thing. I actually, probably in the minority, don't think we need to make a change at defensive coordinator right now. What I would say is we still are not the most talented defense. We are still probably one of the lesser talented defenses in the SEC. And if you think back to early season when we were at our healthiest, the defense looked much improved from last year. And then you lose Whit Whitson, not Will Whitson. I think we've said it. I've made mistakes about that. It's Whit Whitson.
I haven't made that mistake.
I think I have, and maybe Jack. We joked about it.
I was never confident enough either way,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to ever correct anyone.
I believe it is Whit Whitson, who is still tied for the team lead in sacks, I guess. When you so you lose him. Jerron Manning has missed time. Isaac Smith has missed time. Zachary Tillman has missed time. That defensive line, if you look like this is one of the saddest things. If you look back on our recruiting, we've brought in multiple 4-star high schoolers, and none of them have panned out like previous state high school recruits have. Henderson, Travion Henderson, is a 4-star who I think he's a junior, and he made a big play last night. That's not to disrespect him, but he hasn't turned into Montez Sweat or Preston Smith. But I think that right now, the changes we made, bringing in a couple of defensive analysts, one of them was a former head coach, we improved a lot. And we're seeing a lot of guys take steps forward. Kelly Jones is now getting first-round hype. I was kind of grateful he had a touchdown scored on him last night. Maybe that'll stop the first-round hype, and he'll come back for another year. That's a dream. That is not going to happen, I don't think. But Isaac Smith has developed in year 2. He's continued to develop in his third year here at State. I just think that the priority should not be firing somebody, paying a buyout, and then transitioning and changing everything. I think that the defense from last year to this year improved about as much as the talent from last year to this year improved.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like the talent has gotten better, but the depth still isn't really there.
Yeah.
And that's not really a surprise. Does it hurt to see it just kind of offer no resistance down the stretch? Yes. In terms of moving on, I don't think I would really care either way.
Yeah.
Like if they fired him, I'd be like, I understand. If they kept him, I'd be like, I understand.
I don't think they'll fire him.
I don't
There's
think
not
they
going to
will
be any
either.
turnover. And I think Zach said that in the chat. That Levy and Hutzler are really, really good friends, and you can see that when you watch them on the sideline, especially in pregame and as the game's loading up. And like I said, I agree. I agree with you, Sanders. It's what I talked about last week after the Georgia game. It's one thing that's undeniable. We don't have the defensive line and linebacker talent to stop the run, to be effective in stopping the run, because it forces our corners and our safeties to tackle so much in the run game. If you need a better example of that, just watch the last 2 weeks. Ahmad Hardy goes for 300 yards,
I would say
in large part because he gets wide open holes and there's no linebacker there. And this week, our safeties and corners just weren't there to fill the gap, and they're not supposed to be.
And good luck having a corner make a one-on-one tackle against Ahmad Hardy.
Absolutely.
Like, that's a losing battle.
I think you just need another year of talent in there. And for the most part, one of the things Levy talked about, especially early on in the season when we were having good defensive performances and good performances from players, is because it was, this is now year 2 in the system, is what he would say a ton. And I completely agree there. Well, if he's saying that because, okay, now it's the second year they're having these calls and they know where to be in these situations, and so they're executing more. And that's a large part of defense is just execution, large part of football in general. Well, imagine now with year 3 of these guys potentially being in this defense, if it is Kelly Jones is still here, but Jerron Manning or Isaac Smith or Nick Mitchell or anyone that's still there.
Tyler Lockhart as a sophomore.
They're year 3. Tyler Lockhart in a year 2. I think that would be a huge additive bonus if that to occur. And if we were able to find some kind of depth, even if it was just more, like we don't get necessarily better from a talent perspective, top end, but if it was just when the starters leave, the second string guys are just as talented as the guys behind them, then I think the jury can be out next year if you want Hutzler gone or not, because I don't think this is on him. This is just a depth and a lack of talent thing. They won't fire Hutzler. I don't think Levy will go anywhere.
Yep.
And then to address Sven, and this is a sentiment from a lot of State fans as well right now. Sven says, Levy runs a high risk that Camario leaves after this season. If he starts shaping in the Egg Bowl, that would be his end in Starkville. And Sanders, I'll throw it to you because I know you explained this well. Explain what you said about Camario last week with what he was doing last year.
Yeah.
Attending games.
I have zero fears about Camario Taylor transferring. I think we could fire Jeff Levy and Camario Taylor would not transfer. I'm 100% honest. I think what?
No,
I'm not saying we should. Sorry, that was just like I'm not.
You said could. You're good.
Yeah.
I'll throw in my 2 cents later. I was just laughing because I'm fully on the same page with you.
Okay.
But I didn't mean to throw you off. My bad.
No, you good. I think Camario Taylor is potentially more of a Mississippi State and Starkville guy than I am, and or JP is, and we're 2 of the most Starkville Mississippi State guys that I know. Camario Taylor has been committed to us. He's at school here. Before he enrolled, he was committed to us for a while, and I remember seeing him at a game, an SEC game, where we were getting blown out, and in the recruit section, it was him and one other dude, and all the other recruits had gone back into the recruiting lounge, and I think he had taken his shirt off and was waving it to Sweet Dreams. And I was on the field, and I looked up, and I was like, that is a kid who loves Mississippi State. And the kid next to him that he's probably trying to convince, hey, you should come play here. Let's do this together. I could just hear him trying to sell other high schoolers on the Sweet Dreams and the all the great stuff that the cowbells exactly. I have zero worries about Camario Taylor transferring. He's a Mississippi kid. He had other offers. Georgia recruited him hard down the stretch to come to Georgia, and they all probably offered him more money than we offered him. And he still came here knowing that he could have pulled a JKS, right, with Blake Shapen coming back and Luke Cromanhook transferring in. He could have dipped and gone somewhere that he thought he could start, like JKS did, but he didn't. He's been here, and he's been on the bench, and he has been on the bench, and when he's not playing, and when he comes in, he does his job. If he comes in and plays for a long period of time and he gets a touchdown, he goes and fist bumps every offensive lineman. He carries himself with so much poise. I can't wait to see him play next year. And I know he's going to play next year. I have zero worries about him transferring.
I was just laughing because the idea of him transferring is very funny.
Yeah,
He transfers every time in the video game.
This
he
is
does
true,
transfer in the
which
video game.
tells you very much as a fantasy world. There's 2 avenues he transfers. One of them's impossible, and one of them's so improbable it might as well be impossible. And the first one is after the end of the season, Jeff Levy brings him into his office and says, "Kamario Taylor, we want you out of the program. This is the fit for you. We're yeah, I don't know, exactly, it's just not going to happen. But that would be what it would take. Or the very improbable route, which is also very unlikely, is he brings in a big name in the portal, and that does make Kamario upset. Which once again, he's not going to do that because he is Kamario.
Yeah.
But I'm talking in the most extreme theoreticals here, but DJ Lagway transferred out, and somehow Jeff Levy puts himself DJ Lagway's his guy now instead of Kamario. I could see Kamario maybe being
Arch Manning.
well, screw that. If y'all aren't going to respect me, then I did love it here, but I'm going to have to go somewhere
Yeah.
I can be the guy. But that's just not realistic at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing Levy has said a ton this year is he doesn't want to put 1, that being Kamario's number, not Kelly Jones, which, again, SEC Network again made that mistake.
Better performance overall by the night crew, though.
Yes, much better, but they showed, again, the wrong player when Kamario was being talked about. They're showing Kelly Jones. They did it in the Arkansas game.
I will say in their defense, they both were number 1. They are both tall and lanky. And I do genuinely think I was about to say eyes again. Y'all are gonna make fun of me, but with their helmets on, I do kind of see
I didn't see it at all. Face paint.
I think they have
Kamario has different face paint.
Oh, is it different?
He's
I
got
thought they
stuff
were
written.
similar.
And
I
also,
think Kelly Jones also had stuff written
Gotcha.
on his eyes.
He does.
Kamario's a bit chunkier. Not chunkier, but he's more built than Kelly Jones is. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to call Kamario Taylor fat.
Isn't that what people were doing to who was the freshman? Bryce Underwood.
Yeah,
People were
yeah.
calling Bryce Underwood fat.
correct?
But Levy has talked about Kamario and the great things that he's going to do, and so I don't think there should be any fear there, even when Shapen rolls out there as the starter in the Egg Bowl here in 12 days. 12 days. Can't wait. I can't wait. Hopium is already loading up. But all that being said, it was the game itself was just a microcosm of what Mississippi State football is. Expect the unexpected. You can't make the things up that happened, like having all those plays inside the goal line and then being forced to settle for a field goal, snapping it hitting the foot of your player. Apparently, your holder has a titanium foot because the ball.
It was his knee.
Was it his knee?
I think it was his knee.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was driving 75 miles an hour when this was occurring. So, the phone was. I got the word from my girlfriend. I wasn't
Correct.
watching
Yeah,
the
yeah,
game.
yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently he has a titanium knee, and the ball just flies off. And of course he tries. What was it, Kyle Ferry, that tried to make the sliding?
He tries to slide and grab it, and just is nowhere close. He slides and doesn't actually try and grab it.
Yeah, he never reached for it. He did slide near the ball.
I think he slid and then was I don't know if survival
Business
instinct
decision,
kicked in, and he just said nope.
But that happens. And then, of course, the Shapen 2 pick sixes. Ahmad Hardy goes for 300 yards in this game. We don't force Matt Zollers to beat us whatsoever.
Stat patter.
I said put 9 guys in the box, play 2 high safety, and just make him do that. I don't care. Sure.
Right.
And maybe he overthrows a wide open wide receiver and we get a pick.
It wouldn't matter because we just don't have the talent there to even tackle regardless. But this is
field goal block. Call field goal block every play.
We forced two turnovers ourselves. We win the turnover battle there, but I really just anything that could go wrong for a moment there kind of went wrong. And I will hold the belief here, and obviously everyone has the right to disagree. We won that football game. We just didn't end up.
I'm gonna have to disagree with
coming
that
out. No, we won that football game because
Okay.
if Shapen doesn't throw the 2 pick sixes, that's 14 points. And if we score on the goal line instead of kicking the ball hitting our titanium knee, not recovering it, and allowing them to drive down the field, hard count us on a field goal attempt, that's fucking ridiculous. That can even happen. I'm sorry. That is actually ridiculous that you can get hard counted on a field goal attempt.
Yeah, that hurts.
And jump off sides on a 4th and 3. Like when it's a 4th and 9, I can understand maybe trying to jump and maybe even doing the play where you jump over the top of the center. But 4th and 3, where any penalty is a first down, even running into the kicker is a first down.
Yeah.
That's bad execution.
Terrible execution. But if that doesn't happen, then we would be in the lead.
You know what you're sounding right now like?
What am I sounding like?
A Justin Herbert fan.
Justin Herbert
I've heard
fan?
a lot of ifs in those statements. So.
Well, yeah, that's fair. Shapen and Herbert can be the same because I'm no longer on Team Shapen.
Wow.
Just like you've never been on Team Herbert.
I've never been on Team Herbert, but I am now the same in that they're both terrible, sadly. But Shapen, I would imagine, is going to start the Egg Bowl, which sucks. That's the biggest thing I hate. Is just
I agree.
I hate it for the fans. I hate it for us. I hate it for this university. I hate it for our public image. I had been on Team Shapen for 10.5 games this season, and a very, very hard defender there. But
I would say you were even on. I would say 10 games because I would say on last week's review.
Last week you were Team Levy.
Yeah, you were Team Levy. You were like, I would start Camario, but if he starts Shapen, I'll defend Levy because that's his guy. I would call you a 10 weaker for Shapen.
And a large part, the reason I felt that way is still the way I feel right now, in that we don't deserve this. We want, for a season where we haven't gotten the results we wanted, but anything that we've asked for as fans, we have gotten. And that is coming into the season, that is during the season. Coming into the season, we wanted a better game day environment. We've hit on that.
Yeah.
And if we had gotten another night game, we would have gotten another example of that. We really only got to see it twice, that being the Arizona State game and the Texas game, because it ends up being dark come the fourth quarter and overtime. We hit on that. We immediately wanted to go from Banner M to we love the state script, and now we want interlocking, and we've gotten interlocking the entire season since we've asked for it, and we will continue to get that. Now, part of that, I will take away that check if we don't have gold in the uniform for the Egg Bowl. We're taking that away.
If they just wear a classic interlocking,
it's half check.
I think you got to be like.
I did love
maybe you make it 2 boxes.
Someone took a photo and circled it, but at one point y'all had 3 different logos on the screen.
Yes.
That bothers me that ESPN still uses the Banner M.
Well, they also use our state script. When they do the helmets that pop up, it's our state script.
Yeah, I don't get that. And like College Football 25.
It's our own fault because we haven't decided for the most part what our logo is as a university.
It's definitely not the Banner M. I don't think anyone is still using the Banner M.
Sadly, no. It pops up on a few uniforms here and there. But we have gotten that. We have, like I said, we asked for the interlocking logo. We got that. We've asked for a more competitive football team. We have gotten that this entire year. But we have been asking relentlessly for Camario Taylor. And look, I don't know the exact count on it, but Jeff Levy's burner, his burner phone that posts on Twitter, has asked, I think, probably 16 times for Camario Taylor this season. We have not gotten that. And that is the part that I hate the most out of everything that's going on.
Sure.
Is that we have gotten... Look, it sounds spoiled if you take all the context away.
Yeah.
We've gotten everything we've wanted.
But we still want more.
We still want more.
Yeah.
We still want Camario Taylor to start.
All right, Brian Kelly.
Because we're not getting our results on the field, at least. So we feel like we at least should deserve to get to see KT play an entire game. And look, this is more towards the breakdown of that, but I think by then we'll already know who's starting in that game.
We already know, JP. We know who's starting.
I've already said it.
That's the worst part is the game finished last night, and I was like, this sucks because
Y'all
we're
are
going to watch
actually-
the exact same thing in
y'all
2
are
weeks.
suffering from early season success in this regard, because I feel like if y'all were 3-8 going into this game, like Camario would start.
Sure.
Would he? I don't think so.
I think so.
Because there wouldn't have been the Arizona State game. You don't beat Arkansas where Shapen comes back in and beats Arkansas. You're not, like, technically you're playing for a ton in 2 weeks, which is a bowl game.
Yeah.
And so, like, y'all are still playing for something. If you're 3-8 going into that game, I mean, you're playing for the Egg Bowl trophy, and that means a ton. But it, like, still manifests itself differently.
I agree with that take, Jack.
That's fair.
Yes, Zach, we have, at least for football, we have switched to the interlocking logo. But for the rest of our sports, it will be other logos.
That has not been an
script.
official statement. It's just like the context.
They just use it every
switched.
week.
Yeah.
We have switched for football. And so, yes, we'll have that for football.
Most likely.
We have our
M over S for baseball.
We have the M over S for baseball. We still use the script logo there. I'd argue basketball has moved to the block state letters across the center at this point. And there's a whole bunch of other sports that we play here as well. But I think we've gone to interlocking. This the final point that I was trying to get out. I know we're going to know, and we already claim to at least know who's going to start on Friday after Thanksgiving, on Black Friday. But it would be poetry, and it makes perfect sense given the history of the game that will be played on Black Friday for Camario to get his chance to start in that game, and in his first ever start, get to start in an Egg Bowl. A Mississippi kid who loves Mississippi State getting to start in the Egg Bowl for your first ever start. That's storybook for him, and whatever he does, except if he threw 5 interceptions and 4 of them were pick sixes, 2 of them were the Will Rogers pick six where he gets ran over at the goal line.
Yeah.
Then maybe we wouldn't remember it well. But if anything else other than that occurred, we'd remember it fondly. It would be a story that we would tell. And like I said, after the Georgia game last week, I want, as my last game as a student, to at least get to have seen Camario Taylor start a game as a student. And to start in the Egg Bowl would be amazing. But we won't get that, sadly.
Would you rather have Blake Shapen start and win or Camario start and lose?
Blake Shapen start and win.
Okay.
That's not even a debate.
Yeah.
To be honest. It's a funny concept to think about, but I don't think that's a debate. I'll take a win there all day, and I'm fine with it because Camario's going to get his chance next year and hopefully the year after that, and hopefully he hasn't played as great enough to be a draft prospect, which I think he's going to be, and he'll come back for his senior season as well.
Gotcha.
But that can kind of conclude all of that.
Actually, sorry.
Throw out your last thing, Sanders.
I want to talk about recruiting for just a second.
Sure.
Big recruiting guy, and Sven is saying the recruiting is not where it needs to be. Yeah, there's a lot that could still happen. About a month ago, State pulled scholarship offers for 3 or 4 guys, and the insider people were saying it's because he's swinging for big names, and so he had to free up scholarship space. That's still TBD. There is one guy who I have my eye on, Braylon Womack, who is currently an Auburn commit, but Hugh Freeze has been fired. He's a Mississippi kid. He was here for the Georgia game, and all of the 24/7 on 3 was raving about how much he liked his visit. He was at A&M this week. So congrats to
He
y'all
left at halftime.
Yeah, imagine he left at half. I
That'd
don't know.
be crazy.
I'll have to go and read and see how that went, but
Yeah, I've heard nothing specific to him, just generic.
the other insiders think that there's a good chance that Womack is back in Starkville for the Egg Bowl, which means that there's even more on the line. He's a 5-star safety, like I said, from Mississippi. So Lebby still has a lot of opportunities to make splashes in recruiting, and then that's 2026. If you look at 2027, we are currently have like a lot of whatever it's called when they predict. We have a lot of predictions to land the top
Crystal
guys.
balls.
Crystal balls. We have a lot of crystal balls to land some of the top guys in the state for 2027 currently. That's a long way away, but like Lebby brought in he brought in Brendan Thompson, he brought in Anthony Evans, he brought in Blake Shapen, he finished
Devon.
Fluff, Devon. He brought in Camario, but I kind of feel like we thought that was going to happen anyway. He kept Isaac Smith and Kelly Jones in-house. Like, he has improved the talent twice, or one, I guess, from last year to this year.
He / Tyler's mom got us Lockhart.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
Shout
true.
out Tyler's mom.
Yeah,
/
shout out
Tyler's birth date.
Yeah.
True. which circles back to Tyler's mom and dad.
Yeah, it does. Shout out to them.
But-
and the Lord, to be honest.
Yeah,
I
100%.
think recruiting, and when we still have the portal, and like I said, Lebby has brought in guys from the portal: Fluff, Anthony Evans, Brennan Thompson. He brought in Whitson, and he brought in other guys, former highly recruited players. So recruiting's not over yet.
The fact of the matter is,
Lanier.
you can't accept recruiting being this bad because y'all are last or second to last in the
I think
SEC.
we are second to last, and we're ahead of Arkansas, who fired their head coach.
Yeah,
So
doesn't have a
everyone
coach.
decommitted.
We're a better team than them, though.
It can't be this bad, but in the current landscape, State's never going to be an elite recruiting school. You're going to have to rely on doing what Lebby did this season, which is hitting out of the portal a lot, and then you have to improve the recruiting. I'm not saying it's always going to be this bad.
Right
but
now, of the top players in the state of Mississippi, I think one of the top 13 is committed to go in-state, and that's the guy going to Ole Miss. And then you have to get all the way down to, I think, the 14th best player.
And you would like that to change, and I think that will change at least a little bit, just assuming Lebby, we're trending that way, going into year 3, just like there's more stability in the program.
Yeah.
I think that number will go up. But it really is, I think State is going to have to make a living out of just making great portal evals and getting guys in that regard. Because it worked this season. You do just need a little bit more of a foundation, though.
I really hope we can start getting the Mississippi. I care more about the Mississippi guys than I do the portal guys. Because you think about guys like Willie Gay, a State kid, Kamari Taylor, who we think is going to be good. Not a State kid, a Mississippi kid. Jeffrey Simmons was a Mississippi kid. Fletcher Cox might have been a Mississippi kid.
He's from the Brandon area.
Yeah. So there are so many people and so many players. Ahmad Hardy, Mississippi kid.
Yeah, them talking about that on the broadcast hurt a little bit.
It hurt a lot. So I just hope that, and that's hard because he wasn't a 4-star. So he wasn't on this list that I'm talking about of the top guys in the state. But I just hope that we can.
Well, that's the guy you hope
that.
you can be you're a Mississippi kid.
Exactly.
Come back home out of the portal.
Exactly. Because that's what.
He'll join us next year.
Because Ole Miss right now, Ole Miss is transfer central. And so there's kind of a vacuum of
their
teams.
head coach is leaving, too.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
That'll help a lot.
But
and then they're hiring Jeff Linney.
That's what some Ole Miss fans want. All right. That's all I have to say about recruiting.
That was my alleged burner.
What other games did y'all talk about? Because I was not here.
The 4 other games we talked about are the 4 games right here.
All right.
And we can start with chronological order. Do you want to start with your Cavaliers?
Yeah, let's do that because that was a fun game for me. Virginia goes to Duke in a matchup that has major ACC championship title game implications, and Virginia aced the test in a way I honestly didn't expect them to while picking them to win this game. You get up 31-3 at some point late in this game. You're dominating both lines of the scrimmage. Your offensive line is doing a fantastic job of protecting Chandler Morris. He doesn't get sacked all day. You're creating running lanes for Jamari Taylor, who finishes with 133 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then you end up sacking him in 4 times, including a strip sack. You're in his face all day, just throwing off his timing. You never let that explosive Duke passing attack get off the ground, as well as you bottle up Nate Shepard. It's hard. I won't say that. This is the second best game UVA's played all season. This was easily their best game they've played since the Florida State game. It was a very impressive showing, and it kind of made me rethink how I viewed this Cavaliers team as okay, yeah, they can play high ceiling football. They can be a legitimately good team. They have legitimate dudes on this team. Trell Harris, I already talked about Jamari Taylor. Chandler Morris, sure, he threw 2 picks. You don't love that, but he was back there making plays with his leg, extending, moving the pocket, hitting guys on the run, and then also just dealing from the pocket. And then for Duke, it's just kind of yet another letdown. And it's letdown after letdown after letdown, and now you somehow have 5 losses, and that feels crazy to say given the talent and the profile of this offense. But that's where you're at. Y'all have any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, you talk about Darian Mensah and his explosive offense kind of being shut down. He was averaging 310 passing yards per game, and they hold him to 213. He was completing 70% of his passes. He completes just barely above 50%, 18 for 35. And he had 24 touchdowns on the year, and he only has 1 through the air in this game. Also, in his last 4 games, he had been averaging roughly like 8 yards per completion. They only give up 6, so no big plays over the top to the Duke receivers, and that is just a testament to Virginia being ready for Duke. And I do have to tell you why Duke lost this game, and it was because they got shut down offensively. It was not, like Jack said, a turnover fest where they were either turning the other team over or turning it over themselves. Chandler Morris did what the 3 games that Virginia had been really kind of in games that he had finished, games that they had been competitive in and lost, which was NC State, the double overtime victory over Florida State, and the overtime victory over North Carolina. He had 2 picks in each of those games. He has 2 picks against Duke, and it doesn't end up mattering.
Yeah.
Total credit to Virginia for the way that they came to play and were ready to play in that game. They're able to get a ton on the ground as well. Jamari Taylor has another great game with 18 carries and 133 yards. And then even the second back, Harrison Whaley, has 60 yards on the ground. I completely agree. It's one of Virginia's best performances of the year. It sucks that last week happened now because you'd be fully in the driver's seat at 7-0 in the ACC.
With potentially still like an at-large bid.
Absolutely.
As a chance of that. It really does suck that it got hurt. But you hit 9 wins, which is rarefied air for UVA, and now you have a chance to get to 10 if you beat your rivals, Virginia Tech, which would make this one of the best seasons for UVA football ever.
It's
so
one of
that's
the things,
really exciting.
I hate that we don't get enough of, which is just perspective of how these programs have been for years and years and years. It's one of the things with Indiana I don't think is being talked about enough.
Yeah.
That's a basketball school. They've had, I think they've had 1 or 2 winning seasons since 2005.
This is already their best season ever.
Yeah. And they haven't even finished it. They're 11-0. So for Virginia, 9 wins is a credit. I'm pretty sure with the tie-breaking, the way it plays out, I don't know really, to be honest. Virginia and Georgia Tech have the driver's seat to the ACC championship.
Which I hope they win out because that would be a very fun.
It would be a very, very fun
game.
one. Chandler Morris versus Haynes King up in Charlotte. I'd be really excited to see that.
Contrasting styles.
And a playoff bid on the line for both of those teams. Virginia handled their business, and you have to give them a ton of credit. It's not it's a big road victory because Duke has no crowd, and they again had no crowd in this game. Yep. Virginia just has the rivalry game against Virginia Tech. Of course, Georgia Tech will play Pitt this weekend in Atlanta in their actual stadium, Bobby Dodd, and not the Georgia. I missed the Georgia. Mercedes-Benz.
Sure.
So Georgia Tech's got one more ACC game, as does Virginia, but they're both at home, and they'll be favored in each of those games. So this is more than likely your ACC championship matchup. And as Jack said, it'll be a really, really fun one.
Will that Pitt versus Georgia Tech game be for a spot in the ACC championship?
I think so.
Essentially,
yes.
Pitt has another ACC game left after that. Miami.
They play Miami.
So not at all.
It's not guaranteed.
I take that back. But Pitt theoretically controls their own destiny.
True.
You have to beat win the Georgia Tech game for the Miami game to even really matter. But yeah, you said UVA handled business, and that's the best way to put it. They handled business so much that this game was barely talked about. Mm-hmm. And the last funny thing is Duke finally actually wins the turnover battle in a high-profile game, and you still lose. It just doesn't matter. You got a pick 6, and it just doesn't matter because the offense wasn't there, and the defense just kind of got manhandled.
Yeah. And the other teams that won loss, it's SMU and it's Pitt. As Sanders mentioned, Pitt plays at Georgia Tech and then hosts Miami. SMU is one loss. They host Louisville this weekend. Louisville coming off their loss.
Great game.
And then they have to go all the way out to Cal. So nothing is guaranteed there either. Georgia Tech and Virginia look like it'll be the easiest path for them going home, assuming they can handle business. One for Virginia in the rivalry game against the Hokies.
Which I think that's at UVA.
It's at UVA, positive. Yes. It's at home. And then Georgia Tech, can they handle business against Pitt after the way they looked against Notre Dame this weekend? But all credit to the Cavaliers.
Well, they weren't trying that game because it didn't matter.
Maybe, yeah. Hopefully.
You did see that press conference, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
About how he wanted
yes.
to lose 100 to 10 or something.
Absolutely, I saw that.
Didn't care
one.
if he did. Yeah, that's funny.
Do you have ties to JMU, like actual ties?
My only ties is that like
They're nearby.
I lived about 40 miles
Yeah.
away from Harrisonburg, if that, and so half my high school class and therefore a good chunk of my friends
Okay, so you
go
have ties.
to JMU.
You have
so
ties.
I have ties.
I have ties technically that way to Georgia Tech. So that would mean
Like I get excited when they win because my friends get excited when they win.
absolutely. You would love JMU to be in, and so you may have 3 of your teams
That'd be
in
crazy.
the playoff.
Yeah,
That would be really,
'Cause
really
I mean,
crazy.
my dad went to UVA, which y'all know. But fun fact, he was there when they were number 1 in football
That's awesome.
for the only time ever, which they ended up losing, so nothing really came of it. But a wild time to be there.
Sanders, you have how many teams that are going to make the playoff that are yours?
0.
Probably
Okay.
1, I think. Assuming
Yeah.
Alabama beats Auburn.
Yeah, if Bama
Yeah.
beats Auburn, then that should be.
You're in pretty
I'll-
good shape there.
I'll have 2 personally with Georgia Tech, and now I just BYU. Sorry,
Yeah.
BYU, my other team, which I have ties to, of course.
Yeah.
Um,
Plenty of ties.
Those would be my 2 teams, but we hope to see JMU, and of course, and then Virginia's got to handle business against Georgia Tech, which that'll be a fun game. We can move on though.
Yeah, let's do it. We can either we can do BYU or we can head to one of the 2 SEC games.
Did we not preview Iowa USC?
No, we
I
did not.
wish.
Oh,
Let's go to the SEC. Let's stay chronological order.
Sure.
so is that OU Alabama?
It is, yes. Oklahoma goes down to Bryant-Denny Stadium, and I let out a little chuckle because I still almost can't believe they won this game, considering they only have about 200, I think it was 201 yards of offense exactly,
Mm-hmm.
and Bama has over 400. But turnovers are the name of the game in a lot of ways, and Alabama had back-breaking ones from getting the ball peanut punched on a punt return, which that was one of the best peanut punches I've ever seen. I mean, he
Yeah.
just squarely got the ball. I don't even think there's really much Ryan Williams could do. I guess block the peanut punch.
Hold
but
RB.
yeah, once that makes contact with the ball, there's almost no chance of holding on. And then the Ty Simpson pick 6, and he gets strip sacked as well. Combined with bad special teams, Talty misses the kick. And you know Sandell ain't missing no kicks because apparently he's just that guy. So all that combined means Alabama, despite having tons of offense success by the yardage numbers and being pretty good defensively, loses 23-21. Thoughts?
Well, I was there. I
were
got
there.
to see it in person. And one of the first things I texted a lot of people after the game was that I just witnessed history, because this was historic. This is the first time in 18 games that anyone had won in Tuscaloosa. The first time Kalen DeBoer has ever lost there in Bryant-Denny. Of course, the first loss at Nick Saban Field.
Yeah.
The first
loss since Nick Saban.
The first loss in the black hoodie of death.
Also, yes,
Tons of firsts.
that's a brutal one there.
Lots of overlapping firsts, but still tons of firsts.
Funny enough, for Oklahoma, it's their arch rival was the last school that won in Tuscaloosa, that being Quinn Ewers in Texas, and Matthew McConaughey and Steve Sarkisian, who went down there and won that game against Jalen Milroe. OU now joins history as one of the few teams that have won in Tuscaloosa in the modern era, and the way they did it is just it's just unbelievable. You look at the box score, you don't believe it, but what could go wrong did go wrong for the Tide. They had 4 3-and-outs with this Alabama offense, which is one of the best in the country, especially through the air. They had 2 fumbles, 1 interception, and 1 missed field goal at the end of the half. Field position for Oklahoma. This is on their scoring drives, which, of course, they were gifted a pick 6. So if that was tackled at the 2-yard line, this would be even worse. But OU, on their scoring drives, they had the ball at their own 25, which is a normal drive, and then the Alabama 30, the Alabama 31, and the Alabama 28. They scored 13 points, or not, they scored 16 points on those drives.
Yeah.
Just absolutely diabolical. OU's longest drive was 41 yards. I don't know if y'all have cheated my notes.
Mm-mm.
Okay. If you had to guess, how many drives did Alabama have that were longer than 41 yards?
5.
I was going to go with 5 as well.
6.
6, okay.
They had one that was 42 yards, so
Huge.
just a yard longer.
Still counts.
That's the 6. But Bama had 6 drives longer than OU's longest drive of the game. which was the one that started from their own 25, with Satanga having the big run, and then Sandell hits his. He's now it's 7 for 7 or 8 for 8. Saquon touchdown. Let's freaking go. Sorry, interrupting our breakdown, but
fantasy matters.
Fantasy matters. Sandell is 7 for 7 or 8 for 8 on kicks of 50 yards or more so far this year.
The craziest part is he squeaks every
Oh
one.
yeah, barely. This
I
one
think he's
barely
down.
went
I think
through.
he's down.
Okay, this one barely went through. Again, I saw it right in front of my own eyes. It was towards my end zone. What did we talk about? What did at least Jack and I talk about coming into the game was OU had to do something that just wouldn't make any sense, which was flip a metric. And Sanders, I don't know if you heard this, but this is in our breakdown of this game. Bama had been forcing 1.9 turnovers per game. They were plus 10 in the turnover margin. OU had just forced 0.9 per game. They were minus 5. Bama hadn't lost the turnover battle this entire season. They had tied it just twice. And so I said OU has to win the turnover battle. They have to somehow flip this metric in the game, and boy, did they do it.
Yep.
What was it, 3-0?
Yep.
3-0 in the turnover battle. Just an unbelievable performance from their offense. Not their offense. Their defense, opportunistic. Their special teams outplay Bama fully in this game. Nothing but credit to them. They completely changed their season. They go from now they're just above 50%, so they're an odds-on favorite to make the playoff.
It's back. Yeah, it feels completely back in your own hands because you'll probably be a favorite in your last 2 games.
You'll be favored against Missouri and LSU at home in your last 2 games, 100%. And to witness it in person, like I said, I witnessed history. It was very funny to be around Alabama fans, to hear how do Alabama fans sound when they're watching a game, which in the pregame was hilarious, where we have the fans behind me unironically mention the very famous picture of Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith,
Jerry Jeudy,
and Jerry Jeudy, all in Alabama. Is like, wasn't that so cool? Maybe Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard are going to have that photo one day. And funny enough, Ryan Williams ends up kind of losing this game for him.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bernard was excellent, but they mentioned that a ton in the pregame. And then during the game, it was really a lot of what I've come to learn is how they feel, which is that because they've been so spoiled as a fan base with the Nick Saban era, they cannot handle when it's going bad. And when it is going bad, it just turns to worse. And the look on their faces, and the way that they felt throughout the game, the thinness of the air, what I talked about at the top of the show, the November air, it was incredible. It was look, I'm a Bama hater. I'm not afraid to admit that. And it was incredible to see that at the same time have to have a blank face of emotions because my girlfriend is sitting next to me, who I have brought to the game because she's an Alabama fan.
Yeah.
And this game is for her, so I have to just sit there blank face.
Well done.
Or act like shocked, like oh my goodness, that didn't just happen.
Yeah.
When in
you
reality,
gotta guys your laugh as a laugh of shock.
Absolutely.
Not a laugh of happiness. I've been there before.
There was only one time where I really kind of screwed up, which I got really mad when late in the second half, Mateer rolls out to his right, then throws it across the body, and it should have been picked.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely should have been picked. I was like, I yell, like, bro, what are you doing? Just run. Because he has, 3 or 4 yards in front of him. I think it's 2nd and 6 at the time. And he makes a terrible decision for whatever reason. They don't pay for it. But that was really, really special to see in person. Tuscaloosa is a great environment, great game day environment. But, man, is that fanboy spoiled because they did not like what they saw whatsoever.
Yeah.
100%.
In that situation, I'm a big fan of the hand over the mouth thing because you can kind of hide your smile, and if you can keep your eyes, you can make it look like a whoa. But
yeah.
you can be
Once
smiling.
again, you got to transition it into shock that
Yeah.
you can't believe it happened.
Yeah.
I have a really good poker face, so even in the heat of the moment,
You're dialed.
I can stay pretty calm there.
Sure.
But I guess we can get into takeaways for each team here,
Yeah.
unless y'all have takeaways specifically from the game.
I got a couple, and one of them is game related, but it ties into the larger picture. And I wish I hit on it a little more when talking about the turnovers and stuff pre-game, because I feel like we kind of should have seen this game coming from Alabama with the lack of a run game, and they were still under 3 yards per carry in this game. Ty Simpson drops back 48 times. The odds that he was going to continue to just not turn the ball over when doing that, there was going to be a game where he eventually made a mistake, and threw a bad pick, and then to make matters worse, it gets housed for a pick 6. But like that really shouldn't be surprising that kind of game happened from the Alabama offense, where you still move the ball pretty well because you have a lot of great players, but just the execution in key moments wasn't perfect. And then Ty Simpson, bro, stop getting strip sacked. It's actually it's ridiculous. I understand Oklahoma has a fantastic pass rush and they're getting after you all night, but you had one in the Vandy game.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you had one in the
Florida State game?
Probably in the Florida State game, but gosh, I'm not going to remember now. But he had another key one in another big game, and it's just like, for the quarterback that's supposed to be so like cerebral and so smart, that's like one of the things you can't do is continue to put the ball on the turf.
It's one of the things they mention almost every time on the broadcast, that the reason, not that it's a really debate, but the reason DeBoer stuck with Ty Simpson is because he protects the football. He keeps the football with the
Helps
Tide.
him avoid wasted plays.
He helps avoid
Exactly.
wasted plays, and that's why he hasn't gone to the 5-star freshman in Keelan Russell, or found someone else in the portal, or gone with one of his own guys in Austin Mack, who we brought from Washington. But I completely agree. Simpson did not do a good job at protecting the football. It's something for a guy who, look, he likes to use his legs in a few spots, and I honestly don't think he's used them enough.
I agree.
Over the past month or so. But you have to protect the football if you're going to be a pocket passer, and for it to be in front of his face too. It's coming at you. You can see that.
He didn't get
out of your
hit blindside.
vision.
He's not like trying to throw it and someone wraps around late and tips it.
It has not been like the Blake Shapen fumbles he's had this year, where it's been at his blind side. He's just been pummeled from the back. It's different for Simpson. I completely agree. Their offense, it felt like, at least in the first half, it was so much relying on Jeremy Bernard, but they're able to find other guys going, especially in the second half. Josh Cuevas has an incredible game.
Yeah.
They call him Old Man Cuevas, apparently, there.
Did not know that.
That's what the group of gentlemen behind me, at least, were calling him the whole time. They were also really astounded, and I couldn't tell what direction of positive or negative they actually felt. But anytime Daniel Hill lined up at running back, they would always like clap really loud and say, "Oh yeah, we got Daniel Hill snaps here." So
Sarcastically or like
I couldn't tell. I could not tell.
To me, I'd be excited
Because he was running really well in this game.
I think he's established himself as their best running back.
Yeah. Could have been Mississippi State legend Daniel Hill.
Yeah.
But no, he had a great game. Jim Miller was pretty much shut down. Daniel Hill has 2 touchdowns in the goal line situations.
Yeah.
He was is maybe Caden Proctor. Is Caden Proctor a better running back than Jim Miller at this point? Maybe.
I think Jim Miller doesn't have like kind of the wiggle or looseness Daniel Hill has, and when the offensive line is so bad, being the power back and just like trying to grab the ball and hit the hole. Well, there's not really ever a hole in great push, so how are you going to make that happen? But yeah, just the fact that there was finally a turnover game where Bama did turn over the rock, I don't think it should be surprising. I wish I mentioned it more pregame, so it's not a thing of like, I'm talking in hindsight here.
For me, it was surprising, just because of the stat that I read in the pregame was Bama was forcing 2 turnovers per game. OU doesn't turn the ball over in this game.
I'm surprised Bama didn't force turnovers.
Absolutely. Mateer put the ball in harm's way a few times in this game, but for the most part, he was just inaccurate. He made some huge throws and huge moments, but OU had just been forcing 0.9 turnovers per game, which was actually kind of surprising, given the talent they had, and they forced 3 in this game. I was actually kind of surprised with the way fully surprised that it went that way.
No, I definitely agree. Like, you're right. That fact that Bama forced 0 is crazy. But, I mean, I talk about it a lot. Like, if you're going to drop back your passer about 50 times, the odds to get through a game unscathed is pretty low.
Sure.
Even someone as good as Ty Simpson. And then the athletes are evident every time you watch OU play football in terms of on the defensive side. The plays haven't been there yet, but they made plays yesterday.
This is where the turnovers hurt you, because feeling that game in person, and then even going back and watching the game, you sit there and in person you feel like Alabama had been in control of the game pretty much the entire way, and yet they only had the lead for one moment the entire game, which was in the fourth quarter finally. This is what turnovers do. They kill drives. They end drives. That's what the missed field goal at the end of the first half does. When you miss the opportunity to score points when it's right there in front of you, or you give the other team the opportunity to score points for free because you turn it over in your own side of the field, it hurts you. And you end up losing a game this way where you outgained them through the air, on the ground. You're just better on third down. You're better on fourth down as well. It hurts you.
Yeah. And I'll say a couple things about the turnovers. I would say I'm probably not that surprised. I am surprised that Alabama was not able to force turnovers, but also I think Oklahoma had a really good game plan to kind of avoid those.
They had an
Mateer
extra week
only
to
throws
prepare.
the ball 23 times, has the second lowest ADOT of the season, the lowest being the South Carolina game at 4.5. Yesterday's was 6.
Yeah.
Other lows he's had in the mid 6s. PFF says he had 0 turnover-worthy plays. Maybe I didn't get to watch the entirety of the game, but
the only one that sticks out is he rolled to the right.
Yeah, that one.
Fourth quarter and threw it. It hits the Bama's or defender in the hands.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. I'm surprised that wouldn't have been labeled one. But regardless of that one play, I think the game plan was a very safe game plan. Like I said, a very low average at the target, not a whole lot of pass attempts. They run the ball a lot, which works. Like
it
I don't know if it
didn't work. They did not move the ball well. That's
Yeah.
what I'm shocked that they did. That they went in and did that, because I guess they really did. We're just like, we're going to trust our defense and not. Our offense can't win us this game, but we're going to make sure the offense doesn't lose us this game.
Yeah.
They really.
But that's very bold.
They really only had 3, maybe 4 successful plays offensively. One of them being the Satanga run that sets up the field goal from their own 25, their longest drive of the game. The first down carry goes for 21 yards on a jet sweep. The John Mateer touchdown run, I would argue, would be one.
Yeah.
And then the 2 deep completions in coverage on third downs for Mateer. One of them was to Satanga. I forget which one the other one was to. It was either to Jermichael Carter or Giovanni Gibson. Those were really their only 4 successful plays the entire game. Other than that, they had really nothing going offensively. Maybe, I guess, a 5th play, if we're going to get really technical. The first play for them offensively was a slant to Deion Burks for 18 yards.
Sure.
That put them fully in full field goal range after the Satanga punt return. But their success was defensively forcing turnovers, and then they were great in the special teams in this game. And that's what ends up winning them the game. I want to go to takeaways now.
I was going to emphasize, before you do,
Go
emphasize
ahead.
just the lack of big plays, because Oklahoma had 6 total big plays.
Mm-hmm.
4 passes of 15 or more yards and 2 rushes. Alabama had 11. Like that is
It's another one of the box score things
Yeah.
that you
Doesn't
say
make
is a
sense.
bad lock stat.
does not make any sense at all.
Last thing before we go to takeaways, just
sure.
full credit to Oklahoma for going and making those plays and executing in the key moments to go win this game, because I feel like we've been a whole lot of
Alabama
Oklahoma
lost
didn't play
the game.
that well.
Yeah.
Alabama sold, but Oklahoma went and made those plays. You get the pick, and then you manage to run it all the way back to the end zone, and it's a great return. It's not like it was wide open for him. You get the peanut punch on Ryan Williams, which is huge. Your kicker executes when their kicker doesn't, stuff like that. Like, it all matters. It's the reason you won this game as much as it is Alabama not doing those things.
Yeah, I think for Oklahoma, takeaway for the game specifically, I felt like they somehow, to be honest, I don't know if it makes a bunch of sense. They could swing it as we didn't play really great offensively and still won, and that there are better days to come. And maybe you hope to find that in the next 2 weeks. But those defenses, I think, will be a challenge, which, to be honest, that might be a positive, because if they can find a terrific offensive performance against either of those defenses, Missouri or LSU, then I think they will have a ton of confidence come the playoff if they're able to win those 2 games. But on the other hand, this just feels like a low ceiling offensive team. at this point in the season, and that there isn't much that they're going to find. They're going to have to make other plays defensively and opportunistic, which is exactly how the Tennessee game went and exactly how this game went.
I guess I'll ask real quick. Obviously, we don't know the playoff field yet, but if they get in and other teams that are likely to get in, do you think they have the worst offense or the lowest ceiling offense of kind of all those teams?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't think it matters because they went on the road and they won at Tuscaloosa.
100%.
That they're going to more than likely be in the 9, 10, 11 spot. So they're going to be on the road in that first round. And I don't think it matters because I think they've shown in 2 performances, 2 really, really impressive road wins at Tennessee and at Alabama. They can play on the road fine and play defense, and defense travels. And they can shock you in your own building. So for OU, I think it just hammers in that point from the Tennessee game. It's like I said, a way bigger impact and statement. I think it's the best win of the season. Are they a national champion contender? No, if they can't get any offense going. But if they are able to clean up with Missouri and LSU, I think they're really dangerous. It's one of those teams that you don't want to play in the first round, which I think only maybe JMU is the only team, whoever the group of 5 is, that you're like, oh, we want to play them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to play OU in that first round.
No, you don't want. You want to see that defense.
You definitely
all.
don't want to do that at home because then you're trying to play that defense using silent snap counts. Like it's just, it'd be awful.
I think the thing they need to try and find, because at this point, in a large part, like your offense is what it is, but they were having big pass play success early in the season. If you could find a way to hit those, find a way for Mateer to kind of re-hone in those deep passes to Deion Burke, Satania, just give a little more explosiveness, because we saw it early in the season, so we know it's in there. If you could re-unlock that would be helpful.
Yeah, Mateer had thrown for 270 plus every game prior to the Red River shootout against Texas. Yeah. He's thrown for, on average, I think 185 was the number since. But Oklahoma ends up getting this win. Bama had won 8 in a row, and Oklahoma had won 1 in a row, and something had to give.
Yep. Some win streak had to end.
Something gave, and Bama's did. And for Bama, takeaways for y'all from the game and then going forward this season, they have, of course, now the nightmare scenario of playoff lines at Auburn, which, of course, if you don't recall off the top of your head, go watch the last 2 games at Auburn. They have been nothing but cinema. Bryce Young,
I can't wait,
had nothing going offensively the entire day. He gets the ball inside his own 5-yard line, leads a drive all the way down the field, throws a touchdown into the corner. They end up beating Auburn.
Was that the game where Tanks Bigsby falls down in bounds? And so
yes.
That's the only reason they get the ball back, basically?
Yes. It goes to overtime.
Or he falls out of bounds. Sorry, wrong way.
It goes to overtime, and Alabama ends up winning in overtime. And then 2 years ago, a Bama fan remembered it more better off the top of their head. It was 4th and 27 or 4th and 31.
4th and 31, I think.
4th and 31, I think. Jalen Milroe.
4th and a long way.
The graveyard play is whatever they call it.
Yeah, the graveyard is something. He finds his receiver in the corner of the end zone, and they shock Auburn. And Isaiah Bond, yes, catches that one. So we are due for cinema.
Can't wait.
In that one, even especially with DJ Durkin, and at least the performance they put up against Vanderbilt last week. That being said, what are y'all's takeaways for Bama going forward and from this game?
First is don't panic necessarily.
Yeah.
You had a long stretch of hard games, and kind of the breaks of the game finally didn't go your way, and so you lost, and that sucks. And we know this team does have limitations. That being said, they've played well around those limitations for large parts of this season. So I no reason to readjust your expectations for the season based on that.
Yeah, no, you've got Eastern Illinois this weekend, and then you've got at Auburn. If you handle business, you go to that. I guess I was about to say go to the SEC championship now.
No guarantee. It's possible.
If they win out.
If they win out, they control their own destiny.
Okay, so win out and they go, and it's them and A&M.
Yeah, I'm almost. The
positive. Only way it isn't is if Texas beats A&M and Georgia's already where they're at in the SEC.
Yeah.
Kentucky has to go and win at Vanderbilt, and then Ole Miss has to beat us in the Egg Bowl.
Because it becomes a strength of schedule thing at that point.
It's a 3-way tie.
Then 3 other results in the SEC also have to happen. I think OU has to win a game. all of those things have to happen.
So
Wow.
for all intents and
then
purposes,
Georgia
they do.
would get in. But for the most part, yes. If they win the Iron Bowl, they're in.
Yeah, so go take care of your business next week against Eastern Illinois, and then the week after that at Auburn. And then you're looking at, like, best case scenario, you still, like, maybe you win the SEC championship or you lose a close one and teams in the 5 to 6 range lose and you're still a top 4 seed. Great, you get the bye. If not, you are a 5 or maybe a 6 seed and you're hosting JMU or the ACC champion in all likelihood in Tuscaloosa for a playoff game. Like,
You'll take that, especially after week
100
1. You'll take
I,
that.
I honestly, do you think Alabama fans might prefer like a play? Like I think as a fan, I would love to have a home game.
I would
playoff
love to
game.
have it.
I almost might prefer that, especially if you're the 5 seed and you're getting to play that G5 team.
the
Like,
5 is pretty ideal.
If you're the 8 seed, you're playing the 9 seed, and it's like, well, these two teams are in theory really close. Like,
Yeah.
that's a little scary. But if I'm an Alabama fan and I can host a playoff game against JMU, I'm taking that 100%.
You're taking that. The problem is you're in a spot where like there is no more room for error. So you
Yeah,
have to go
no,
like
that's for
make that
sure.
happen.
I think you're a little bit in the minority there as a Bama fan.
Yeah, most of them are spoiled.
One, you could view it as, look at what happened last year. All the teams that won that first round game won the second round game, and it's a great tune-up game, especially if the SEC championship had went wrong and they somehow fell into 5, or they had lost to Auburn, which would be even, of course, nightmare scenario or even worse. But knowing Bama fans like I do, they want excellence.
Yeah.
They want to win the SEC championship. They want to go undefeated.
Well, that's why I don't want that because I'm not a Bama fan.
You're just in the minority, I think, because you're new. You're not used to. You're post Nick Saban era.
Sure.
So you're just very new. You're a baby still.
Yeah,
They don't want that.
You're not spoiled.
I can tell, like, my girlfriend, who doesn't really even care that much about football. She just loves Alabama and wants them to win every single game ever possible. I tried to console her after the game saying, oh, you're fine. You just have to go win at Auburn and you make the SEC championship. You're in the playoff really regardless of what happens. And she was like, no, but I wanted to win this one.
Yeah.
So they don't care. They want to win every game that's in front of them, and that includes winning the SEC championship and the title.
Which, as a fan, you should want to win every game. I completely get that. But that kind of brings me to my last takeaway, which is we've talked about this before, and it's pretty common knowledge. But, like, you have to readjust your expectations for success under Kalen DeBoer because he was never going to be Nick Saban. He's not Nick Saban. He goes and wins out, and you go 10-2. That's a successful season.
For those of y'all watching the live stream,
Welcome in.
JP's girlfriend is in the chat.
Did a little sad face.
She sent a sad face.
But yeah, like 10-2 is a very successful season these day and age.
Yeah.
You know, that would be cause for riots under Nick Saban, and you know what went wrong. But like it's a different era, and so this team has played well for multiple weeks, cut them some slack, and just it's going to be a learning curve for a spoiled fan base. But I think they can get there, and they need to get there because otherwise, that's when you could really like go awry. As if you start. You just start getting foolish with your expectations, and you start trying to throw money around, or the wrong people get involved, and then what should become, you know, a nice 10-2, 11-1 type, we're consistently hitting those marks, it blows up.
Yep.
Anything else, or should we move on to the next game?
Let's move on.
But oh man,
Is it? It's the BYU game?
I wish.
Oh.
Texas UGA was first.
Yes.
The Texas Longhorns, led by Arch Manning and Minister of Culture Matthew McConaughey was on the sideline as well. They go to play Georgia at Sanford Stadium, and it does not go well. They end up losing 35-10, get physically dominated. Key stat, if you want to start there, 39 total rushing yards for Texas. Most of those were on their first drive of the game. Just did not control the trenches. Receivers weren't making plays for Arch, which has been a theme of the past couple weeks. They end up dropping 5 passes. And Georgia starts a little slow offensively, especially in that second quarter, but they get rolling down the stretch and get what they want, and then they hit the key offensive, onside kick to get them yet another possession. They go down and score again, and they just end up pulling away and winning, like I said, 35-10. Y'all's thoughts on this game?
Do one of y'all have the Josh Pate stat? ready
I
to
don't
go?
know what Josh.
83.
In the
Yeah.
last, they've played Texas and Georgia have played 3 times in the last calendar year. Twice last year, once regular season, SEC championship, and now. And Texas has 83 rushing yards.
Yep.
Thank you, JP. That was my main takeaway. That's just absurd.
And it's causing much unrest among Texas fans of kind of
Yeah.
frustration and not really understanding why this is happening against Georgia. Because against almost all other teams, you look the part. You struggle against Ohio State,
Yeah.
but the defense at least holds up.
Florida.
Sure, but time and time for the most part, it's like, okay, even if the offense isn't playing that well, we at least are like right there on the line of scrimmage. We're limiting their rushing yards as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're not giving up big chunk plays as well. Or, okay, maybe we're giving up some yards, but that offense is humming. And every time you play Georgia, it's like everything just kind of shuts down.
Well, it's I think for any really of the losses that we've seen over the past couple of years for Sark and that Texas team, it has looked completely different to the way losses look here. I think even the Washington playoff game, we lost right there at the buzzer for essentially the losses this year against Florida and Ohio State. The Ohio State game, like Jack said, defense showed up. We had our chance at the end. We just didn't capitalize. The Florida game, offense showed up. DJ Lagway cooked us for the most part.
Yeah.
And that it happens, and we were still in that game at the end. The 3 games against Georgia have been not even close, remotely close. The SEC championship was close, but it shouldn't feel that way because Carson Beck gets knocked out at the end of the first half, and you should think you should blow them away in the second half.
Yeah.
But Gunnar Stockton makes plays, and he ends up winning that game. And for me, that was my biggest takeaway right off the bat was Gunnar Stockton has grown so much from what you saw last year in the SEC championship and the playoff
It's
against
unreal.
Notre Dame. And he has a really uncharacteristic pick in this game. But other than that, he was pretty much perfect. I mean, on the first drive, he was magnificent. He takes a snap to the cup, to the balls, responds with a 20-yard run the next play. He hits a 25-yard strike to London Humphreys, another strike on the sideline on 3rd and 10 to Zachariah Branch, and then a perfect ball rolling to his right, hitting Noah Thomas for the touchdown. Gig him.
Always.
He was really, really terrific. And then when they needed him in other key spots, he was really great. The touchdown, which it's one of those, like, it just proves, this play proves that Georgia is the big bro to little bro Texas. When Gunnar Stockton takes the snap and rolls to his right, puts the ball in his arm like he's going to run, and then picks it up and throws it over the top to the tight end who just beats him.
Yeah.
That is a clear showing of, they just own you. They have the mojo over you
I
because
don't
you
even-
make that kind of mistake. That is something that only happens when another team owns you, and you are so caught up in I need to stop this guy. I got to stop this guy. Oh, he's tucking the ball. That means he's running.
Yeah.
And you lose your fundamentals, and you give up an easy touchdown.
I don't even think that was the biggest big bro moment of the night.
I mean, the
though.
onside kick.
The onside kick was the
Oh,
It was
absolutely.
the big bro move to end all big bro moves.
And it tells you exactly that they know they're big bro because, like, could you imagine Georgia doing that against Alabama?
No.
No, because they simply
Well,
wouldn't.
I actually could, because I think I've seen from Kirby in games like that against Bama him get desperate. I think of the Justin Fields fake punt.
Well, then they
in the
do it when
SEC
they're down.
championship.
They do it when they're
They
down.
would do it when they're down.
They wouldn't
Maybe
do
not
it,
up.
They
yes.
wouldn't do it after a score to get up because they would be scared to give
Absolutely.
Alabama that kind of momentum.
Sure.
If Texas recovers the onside kick, you know what they do? Doesn't matter. We're going to go shut them down. They're probably not even going to get a first down. We'll get the ball right back. Who cares?
Yeah, that was a huge other takeaway was from X's and O's standpoint, Texas's special team was outclassed. It's something that they have been terrific in this year, and because the offense has been terrible and the defense has been great, they've won games with special teams. They end up tying the game against State with special teams. They win the OU game for the most part with special teams. Texas is outclassed. A big momentum kick return after 2 straight touchdown drives from Georgia.
Yeah, 100%.
With Ryan Niblett, but there's a holding call, and then all of a sudden Arch Manning is inside his own 5-yard line. That's crazy that it even happens. Then, of course, the Kirby Smart onside kick after scoring a touchdown in the second half, and this is the special teams coordinator shown on the sideline.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he was saying what just happened.
Not a good look.
what just happened. Like, bro, you're the special teams coordinator. You should be locked into this play. How do you not know what just happened?
Yeah.
I guess it's just pure shock at that point.
The special teams coordinator has like 15 to 20 plays a game that he like really has to focus on.
Yeah.
I agree. And I just want to once again rave about Stockton because the start of the season was like, well, Stockton's a fine QB, but like if Georgia's going to find real success this season, it's going to be because they run the ball really well and that defense gets back to their, championship team ways. And that's simply not the case anymore. Gunnar Stockton can go into the playoffs and go outduel any quarterback in the country and be the better quarterback on the field on that given night. And I just simply didn't see that coming. Props to him, props to his development, just a complete transformation of a player.
He's done it every time this year except one, and I'd argue he kind of did it against Alabama, but they dropped the touchdown over the top. That would have put them ahead. Other than that, he's done it in every game. He's been required to do it. He doesn't throw a touchdown against Auburn, but he was really terrific in leading the 2-minute drive at the end of the first half, and then still leads the drives in the second half, big plays. He gets into the end zone using his legs. But the Tennessee game, the best, still I think one of the best, if not the best, throw of the season to London Humphreys on the sideline, 4th and 10. And then the Ole Miss game, 7 drives, 7 touchdowns. Like, he's just been terrific. He has 19 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, which isn't really necessarily impressive, but 70% completion percentage, 156 rating.
And how many rushing touchdowns does he have?
8 rushing touchdowns, 350 yards on the ground, which includes sacks as a part of that. He's been terrific. He has blossomed in front of our eyes. I do feel, though, this isn't like him. I wouldn't say he's like, he's ascended to where he really has buzz to be a draft pick, like Carson Beck. But I compare him to like Stetson Bennett in this way. I just feel different because I feel like it's weird, and this was something I had to grasp after this game of, well, I still think Stetson Bennett was a fraud, but I don't think Gunnar Stockton is.
Yeah, that's fair.
Am I wrong to feel that way?
I mean, the defenses were different. The supporting casts were different. So I don't necessarily disagree. I still give Stetson Bennett credit.
Absolutely.
For
He
doing
won
what
2
did.
national championships.
But if I had to pick a quarterback for my team, I'm picking Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah.
I think they would too. Defensively, this was 100%, at least for this defense this year, with the way they've been playing. This was what I think was 100% expected, for me at least, for their response defensively. To hold Texas to 10 points, who had been getting it going offensively. They gave up 250 yards through the air, but Arch Manning 124. Half of that was after the catch.
Yep.
And, of course, only 23 rushing yards on the ground. They were really, really incredible defensively, making huge plays when they had to be out there, which they didn't have to be out there much because Georgia had 4 of those tantalizing drives. They had 4 drives of 30 minutes. Or not 30.
Golly, wow.
They had over 30 minutes of time of possession, but they had 4 drives of 3 minutes and 30 seconds or longer. All 4 of those drives resulting in touchdowns, 28 points. That was something we hugely highlighted in the Mississippi State game, and they are so good at doing that, obviously, that it is so demoralizing. It has to be so demoralizing to watch as an opposing fan, or if you're cheering against Georgia, which this year I haven't because they're my SEC championship pick, but in most years I would.
Yeah.
It has to be so rough to watch because it's like, man, we just can't get off the field. Man, another 3rd down conversion. Man, all of that. And they convert points off them. They don't get down in the red zone and have to kick field goals. They don't turn the ball over after 15-play drives like Mississippi State did against Missouri. They get in the end zone, they score touchdowns. Yeah. It's so demoralizing for their team. And if their defense continues to force 3 and outs like they did last night against Texas, it just makes their offense so much better because that defense got no rest.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. A question I have for Texas, I don't really have tons of notes offensively. It's kind of more of the same of their struggles this season. Can't really run the ball very well. The offensive line getting a little dominated. And then Arch and the receivers just not being consistent, not on the same page, drops, misfires. So I think Arch played a pretty solid game, honestly.
Texas fans felt that way.
It wasn't really on him. He just didn't get enough help. But now their defense has given up 30-plus points in 3 games to Vandy, to Mississippi State, and now to Georgia. And that feels more surprising to me than anything.
Yeah.
Because that unit I thought was going to be elite to start the season against Ohio State. They only give up the 14 points. Even like in the Kentucky game, it's like, okay, the defense had to go win you that game, and they 100% did that. So I don't know what the root cause is.
They held Oklahoma to 6 points.
Yeah, they held Oklahoma to 6 points. I don't know if it's a bad couple weeks. I don't know if it's frustrations. I don't know. I don't know what the issue is. But now it's been 3 weeks. I feel like that's enough to kind of raise the alarm bell. And that's because that's not the Texas defense of last year or early this season.
Yeah, it really begs to question what it'll look like in 2 weeks when A&M comes to town, because A&M has put up boatloads of points. They just had a second half where they scored 4 straight touchdowns.
Yeah.
They can hit you explosively over the top. If A&M's running backs are healthy, they can run the ball really well. Marcel Reed, of course, runs well with his legs. It's going to be. They have one of the best offensive lines in the country too.
Yeah.
So that may neutralize a Colin Simmons and that pass rush for Texas.
Just don't do what we did and try and run a read option with Dylan Stewart being the unblocked guy off the edge.
Yeah.
Don't do that with Colin Simmons because it was a disaster with Dylan Stewart.
I agree. It's really concerning. It's not what you expected. Now Sark is 2-7 in games against top 8 opponents at Texas. One of those wins being the Alabama win at Tuscaloosa, but other than that, he's pretty much had nothing.
What was the
for
other
the
win?
Longhorns. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Was it just was it a playoff win, or is that regular season?
Well, they wouldn't have been a playoff win because they beat Arizona State.
Yeah, who's not top 10.
And they beat Clemson, who was not top 10.
Yeah, you're right.
Top 8, neither of them.
Maybe they beat Oklahoma one year, but Oklahoma was top 10. I don't know.
Maybe under Stark. I can't recall.
Was Oklahoma top 8 when they beat them this year?
Maybe.
They probably. I wonder if they were. Yeah,
Probably were.
Because that was Oklahoma's first loss.
Yeah, they probably were.
Probably
They
were.
definitely were. They're like
they had
fifth.
to have been.
So that's their 2. So the Bama win's impressive. The Oklahoma win not as much, but it is a troubling issue for Sark.
I agree. I do think this is a cool challenge or like test for Sark in terms of like, okay, you've built this Texas program up to a high level, and now how do you handle adversity when you're at this high level? How do you like patch your team together and find ways to win in ways that isn't your MO? Because Sark's this offensive guy, right? And the offense isn't humming, and now the defense is struggling. So like this is kind of when you really learn about a head coach's mid-season. How can you right the ship? How can you find fast fixes for stuff? How can you keep the locker room motivated, everyone ready to roll, stuff like that? I think it's a cool test for him. Texas fans would not agree that it's a cool test because they have a lot more skin in the game.
Yeah.
But as someone's just like outside looking in, curious about Sark as a coach, like, all right, what do you got?
Yeah.
They kind of have responded already a couple times
True.
this season, and so they'll have 2 more opportunities at home to do so against Arkansas, and then A&M on Black Friday.
What a Black Friday, man.
Yeah, we hope.
Oh, gosh. I hope we're all
It could be a nightmare
ecstatic.
scenario.
True.
But let's hope not with the holidays coming. Georgia, their route to the SEC championship now is essentially the least complicated way to say it is they need one of Bama or A&M to go lose on the road in their final game. Of course, if Texas loses to Arkansas, that actually doesn't matter. Why did I even say that? They have to lose one of those games on the road. A&M, I assume, might be like a 2-point favorite, and then Bama is probably over a touchdown favorite, just barely over a touchdown, 7.5, give or take. So they need one of those 2 things to happen for Georgia to make the SEC championship. The only other way they can make it is if they win. Ole Miss wins the Egg Bowl. Doesn't matter what happens with A&M, Texas. Bama can win. and they need Florida to beat Tennessee, very possible in Florida. They need Kentucky to beat Vanderbilt in Vanderbilt. They need Arkansas to beat Missouri. Arkansas hasn't won an SEC game. They need, of course, School Up North to beat us, and they need A&M to beat Texas. If those 5 things happen, which 3 of them are favored, but Kentucky winning at Vanderbilt and Arkansas winning at Missouri aren't, Georgia would win the strength of schedule advantage over Alabama.
Sure.
I feel like
because it would be a 3-way tie with 1 loss in the SEC and Ole Miss, Bama, and Georgia.
I feel like the simple scenario you gave was not the simplest scenario. Did you say Alabama has to lose to Auburn? That's it.
Alabama loses to Auburn or A&M loses at
he said
Texas.
that.
Okay, cool. I thought you.
That's the
It
simplest
was,
scenario.
an or, not an and.
Or A&M loses to Texas. Okay.
But they're simply right there. Now they don't control their own destiny.
If that doesn't happen, I wonder now, like, let's say Bama beats Auburn. We'll see how the committee does it with their rankings on Tuesday. Does Georgia get the 4 seed if they're above Alabama pre-SEC championship?
Sure.
If they beat Georgia Tech, they more than likely would. Do they get the 4 seed even though Bama played in the SEC championship?
And Bama beat them. That would be interesting.
What we've been assuming is it would be the Big Ten winner and loser and the SEC championship winner and loser as the top 4, but it may be Georgia that still gets that bye.
Yeah.
Really, regardless. That might actually be the best case scenario, unless, of course, they care about conference championships like y'all say people do.
They do.
I'm sure
I'm
they
not
do.
sure the committee does, but people
But they
do
could
in
get the first
programs.
round bye and not have to play in the conference championship. That is, I don't know, because it's not beholden to conference champions like it was last year. I haven't heard that yet. I wonder if Pate will talk about that tonight.
I'm sure he will.
But that's an interesting thing to look for going forward. Georgia has Charlotte next week, 9-1 versus 1-9, and then Georgia Tech in good old-fashioned hate in Mercedes-Benz. But Georgia, what an impressive win. The day only could have went better if South Carolina beat Texas A&M, but
Sure.
it really could not have gone better for the Bulldogs of Georgia. Any other takeaways from this one?
No, but I am going to go use the restroom real quick. So y'all
All
find
right.
something to talk about for a minute. I
JP,
apologize.
did you see the false start on the Eagles on the tush push?
No, I kept rattling along. I stayed strong. Why they call it a false start?
It was actually, I
Snap
think it
infraction?
might have been a genius play by Detroit Lions defensive linemen. So they're lined up for the tush push, and a Detroit lineman lines up, and his hand is kind of in the neutral zone, but they haven't snapped it yet. The refs haven't blown it, and an Eagles offensive lineman reach out and start swatting at his hand, like, get out, you're in the neutral zone, back up. And the Detroit guy just dives forward like they snapped the ball.
Yeah.
And the refs came in with a pretty late flag. I think if the Detroit guy just backed up or not moved, like, it would have been a no call. But I think because he dove, the ref was like, oh, the Eagle guy moved first. That's on him. But it was the goofiest thing. That was pretty funny.
That's crazy.
You should go back and try and find it because I've never seen it. It was like 2 children fighting. Like, get out of the way. I don't know. It was pretty goofy. What else has happened? The Saquon Barkley touchdown was not a touchdown. He was down by about a half an inch. His calf grazed the ground. And then, of course, they pushed it in because it's what they do. What else? That's all that I have noticed from the game. Jahmyr Gibbs having a good night, 80-something yards. He just had a crazy little screen that he turned into like a 40-yard pass or 40-yard catch and run. Yikes, Jared Goff. But I need him. I'm playing Harris. And last time me and Harris played, he was sending me the Steph Curry night-night celly at 12:30 on Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time one of my players scores, I've been texting him that. He hasn't responded. He's gone Carolina Panthers mode. So,
Not surprising.
yeah.
Not surprising at all.
No. Ooh, that's tough. But I'm looking at going, I think, 2-2 this weekend, which is tough. Oh, no, 2-3, because J-Dub came back in the keeper league, which I'm okay with. I'll take a better draft pick. I need it. I will be drafting. I'll probably. Oh, wait, where am I ranked right now? I am ranked. Freaking Josh Bean is gonna pick first because he has not hit his lineup.
Mhm.
We got to do a draft lottery next year or something.
I'm saying.
Or every week you don't edit your lineup, you move down a spot. I don't like draft lotteries
Sure,
personally
maybe.
because there's so much is left to chance. But I feel like if you just punish people directly, then you don't punish the people who, like win.
Draft lottery's
Who-
hype, man.
Just good old
I
fashioned
think-
bad.
At some point,
Draft
though,
lottery's
you should be
fine.
punished for being bad.
Right. That's why I think it should be every week you don't edit your lineup, you move down a spot.
Well, I think you should be punished for being bad, even if you're trying. Like at some point, you put together that lineup. Bozo.
Or you got wrecked by injuries and you're doing the best you can.
Doesn't matter. That's a skill issue.
Yeah.
Injuries are a skill issue.
You gotta hit those waiver
It's
wires.
not bad luck.
You have to predict ACL tears and stuff.
I will never believe that. I will always believe that it is you just didn't draft good enough, because that is a part of the late rounds of drafting in fantasy football, is picking the guys that are,
Not gonna have freak injuries?
No, handcuffs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Picking guys that are the third string receiver for a dynamic passing offense in the Lions. If Amon-Ra gets hurt, and then you have Tim Patrick, he can go score points. That's part of fantasy football. So I will not. I hold no sympathy for someone who is decimated by injuries. Should have drafted better.
Yeah, I completely
Why'd
agree.
you draft an injury-prone guy, even if it's his first injury ever?
Should have
You
known.
should've known.
You should have known that
He was
what's
due.
He was
his face-
due.
You should have known that the guy at San Francisco was going to get shot.
That's why I don't feel bad for the guys that picked CMC number 1 overall last year, because
yeah. That's
Why?
different though. That's
He w-
Christian McCaffrey.
he was due. Christian McCaffrey. If you don't remember the stat,
I feel
maybe.
bad for myself personally.
Every other year he's hurt, so that is just a common occurrence for Christian McCaffrey.
We got one game left and the Technical Fowl Stock Market.
Let's do it.
Let's lock back in.
Yeah, we can get to our BYU Cougars.
Rawr.
I don't think that's what they do, but you never know.
They probably play that sound effect every first down, like every other school with a cat.
They do play that. And
That's
they
what
played
every-
that
I stand
last night.
corrected.
Every cat school does it.
I was a little bit more ferocious than that sound, but it's neither here nor there.
What a bounce back at home for Kalani Sitake and the BYU Cougars. Tough loss, but you should just not be surprised that this BYU team, they're just so steady. That they were going to bounce back. Maybe not to this degree, as they just cruise and end up beating TCU 44-13. But they take everything in stride, win or loss, and they just keep rolling. That's exactly what they did here. Bear Bachmeier was great. They ended up scoring on the first 7 drives of the game, and then defensively they got after Hoover pretty well. Just really limited him, didn't let him sit in the pocket and pick them apart.
4 sacks.
Never let him get in a rhythm. Exactly 4 sacks. Just fantastic work all around, and it really, unfortunately, for someone maybe hoping for a final good game of the evening, didn't really provide that, as it was not close. 44-13, like I said. Y'all's takeaways from this game?
This was expected, for me, not for all. I fully expected some kind of response like this. Maybe not the scoring margin of this, but like I've said this entire season, this is a team that has responded when they've needed to.
Except when you picked them to go under in the preseason. But you're good. Keep going.
Look, like Josh Pate
I'm
says,
just
preseason
trolling.
predictions mean nothing.
True.
You can throw those out the window.
He'd never seen Bear Bachmeier take a snap before.
Absolutely, I didn't know he was going to be the starter yet. But BYU responded. Especially with the way they start the game, when you score 24 straight points on your 4 starting drives, 27. Schubert, we got to keep going. They scored on their first 7 drives. That Bear Bachmeier is a baller is a takeaway for me from this game. The dude can play some football. He makes throws when he needs to. He uses his legs very, very well. Has a rushing touchdown in this game. He isn't the most talented thrower, but he puts the ball in the right spot at the right time, and that's kind of all that matters. Just a really, really impressive performance from them offensively. I talked about one of the things I talked about in the breakdown of the game was star receiver matchup, and they won that. Eric McAllister had 107 receiving yards, but Jordan Dwyer was held to 2 for 19, and then Chase Roberts and Parker Kingston were both great, 5 for 50 and 5 for 80. They were picking up big first downs, too, in this game, and so full credit to them. one of the things that was kind of a concern and why the spread was as close as it was, and people were potentially talking about this as of like, oh no, here goes BYU again, was TCU defensively had been incredible for a Big 12 defense so far this year. Their defense had been 35th in rush defense, meaning it would be another test for BYU and their rush offense, but they were able to find what they wanted there. That really wasn't an issue. And then on their offensive end, it had been 303 yards per game, top 10 in the country for Josh Hoover, and he couldn't get anything going in this game. My takeaway is I expected this. I'm really happy that this occurred, of course.
Yeah.
With Cincinnati losing to Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday, maybe it opens the door a little bit more. We still got to go win that game at Cincinnati. But that's the last test. And this kind of response just makes me feel good about, Lord willing, of course, if BYU makes the Big 12 championship game, I think they're going to have a good shot to win the rematch against Texas Tech.
I'll give them a shot. I don't know if I'll say good shot.
Good shot.
But just very, very impressive performance. It was already put to bed, but I had this TCU team winning the Big 12 in the preseason. The concern was the defense wasn't going to be good enough, and it really hasn't been good enough, coupled with some offensive line issues, and that has really ended that. But fantastic performance for BYU, and I would just like to apologize once and for all for a mistake that I will never do again, and that is not picking with my heart and my mind. I picked it with my gut, I guess, because I picked with my mind, and that was I was trying to make up a game on JP. And so I ended up picking TCU to cover, even if I didn't really believe that. And that's just not I compromise my principles, simply put. So I apologize to BYU Nation.
Cougar Nation.
Cougar Nation, yeah. And I'm just mad at myself for that because I got it wrong, and that just...
Hey, it happens.
Yeah.
Sanders, did you pick Bama on mind or heart?
Mind.
I
thought Bama was going to cover.
Jury can be out on that. Do you have any takeaways from this game,
I do.
sir?
This is exactly what I wanted from BYU. I talked about after the Utah game. I said, congratulations. That's a huge win over a top 25 team. And kind of your first big win of the season. But last year, if you look at last year's schedule, they start 9-0.
Lose to Kansas.
And then you beat Utah by 1 in Utah.
Yeah.
You've got a win over top 15 Kansas State, who didn't turn out to be top 15. But, you've had a really great season to that point. You lose to Kansas by 4, and then the next week you lose at Arizona State by 5. And you go from 9-0, and in the playoffs, I think they were top... I don't know if they're top 10, but, if you finish 11-1...
They were... they got as high as 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so top 10 team... You're first in the Big 12. You're 6-0. The teams that end up making the Big 12 championship, I believe Arizona State had 2 Big 12 losses. I don't know if the other team did, but you were in the driver's seat.
Iowa State, they did
for a spot there.
Yeah.
Iowa State and Arizona State both did. But you lose 2 straight in the second to last and third to last weeks of the season. And I said after the Utah game, I said great win, but you have to go to Iowa State, who Iowa State has not played this back half of the season like they did the first half. But that could have still been a tough matchup. You got to go to Texas Tech. Then you got to play TCU. Then you got to go to Cincinnati. That is 4 games in a row where you could easily drop 2 games. They beat Iowa State. They do not handle Texas Tech, unfortunately, on the road. But then they handle TCU at home. So now you got 2 games left at Cincinnati. And then UCF. But this is exactly what I want to see. I did not want BYU to have the exact same mistake they had last year, really just stumbling at the finish line. And it's still, there's still games to be played, but a win after that loss to Texas Tech last year goes a long way to making me feel pretty confident that this is not going to finish the same way it did last year.
Agreed. 100%. I fully agree. Only other takeaway for me from this game is, man, I wish that he had actually connected with his brother and Tiger Bachmeier. He was trying to hit Tiger for much of the game. Tiger only has 1 catch, But Tiger almost had 2 touchdowns in this game. They just didn't quite get on the same page.
He's got UCF to do that.
No, he should do that next week against Cincinnati. That would be awesome. But we'll see.
Game-winning
Bear
touchdown.
to Tiger in the Big 12 championship.
I forgot that their names are Bear and Tiger. And what's
It's
the
pretty
last?
fire.
Bachmeyer.
Bear, Tiger, and then it's another normal name. Hank.
The oldest brother.
Yes.
Basketball player?
No, he
Football
played
player.
football player. He was at Boise State for a
Okay.
while. I think finished his career at Wake Forest. Taylon Green eventually took over the starting job from him.
Okay.
Quite
Anything else?
scenes. No, though you will have to check. It does seem like Wilt Fong has just crystal balled a 5-star flip target for A&M, but I don't have on 3, so I don't actually know who it is. Someone in the comments said it was Womack, but I don't know if I believe him or not.
I'm going to cry, bro.
It.
No, not actually. It's
We'll
fine.
get another 5-star.
Oh, I mean, exciting
so
Mississippi
many
State
out there.
news. We just got a 2-way 2027 baseball player whose name, he's a 2-way. His name is Ethan Armbruster.
Interesting.
And I cannot wait for the memes like Armbuster. I don't know. It's just a funny.
So it is a funny name.
There's a lot of potential for some burner memes there. Let me go to. Can I go to news? I don't want A&M Mississippi State news. I want A&M news. I mean,
It could have been someone else.
in all likelihood it is Womack because I know that he was there.
Yeah,
this
it could have been
weekend.
Lamar Brown, though I doubt it. And I guess there's a chance it was someone else, but he probably is the most likely.
On 3 National. 27 minutes ago. I don't see it. We can.
We'll look later.
I'll
it's
look
not too
as we do stock market.
cool.
Actually, I bet if I just go to Twitter and go to Steve Wiltfong, he'll have a link to the article.
Probably. It's a good spot to start. Shall we roll to the stock market, though, while we look at that?
Yes.
5 stocks today. Smaller number. But so I think some solid ones. First one. Buy or sell, and this is a subjective one, but still. Gunnar Stockton should be in New York for the Heisman. There's been some people pushing this as of late. He doesn't really
Should
have,
be or will be?
should be. So this is do you believe he is playing well enough that he should be one of the representatives there? Because I feel like it's pretty clear he's not going to be.
Yeah.
There's just no, I don't think there's any betting buzz. I mean, he maybe rose.
I doubt he rose that much.
Jack, can you send me that tweet?
Right now, he is 5th in line. He would have to jump Diego Pavia. So it's possible.
It is very much possible.
But they also may bring Jacob Rodriguez or Jeremiah Love potentially to New York because New York is the Heisman group is not run by FanDuel, so they could pick whoever they want. I would buy personally.
Really?
I think he has played well enough
Should be or will be?
and should
Okay.
be in New York. I would not buy that he will.
I'm in the same boat. I'd buy that he should. I wouldn't buy that he will. Personally, looking at those top 4 odd guys ahead of him, I think he should go over Marcel Reed and go over Diego Pavia.
Sure.
I think he's just been holistically better and just made bigger plays than some of them. Not that both of them haven't been great. I'm literally dogging on my own QB, but still.
Did Josh Pate said his odds went up after Saturday?
He did because he had a Heisman moment of played terrible in the first half and then comes out and ends up with 430 total yards of offense.
He went from
3 TDs.
8.5 to 1 to 5.5 to 1.
I'll also buy. I didn't think I was going to initially, but the Pavia Heisman race, I will say this, if he has a great game against Tennessee, and that is he could have his Heisman moment against Tennessee, and in my opinion, getting Vanderbilt into the playoffs in Knoxville might be the best Heisman moment of any of the
Sure.
other
Depends on how he plays.
right, like I said, if he has a game like he did against Texas, which I think he had, or Auburn, 4 touchdowns, 300 yards, something like that. If he's able to do that against Tennessee and lead Vandy to a win in Knoxville and get Vanderbilt into the playoffs, I think Pavia should 100% be.
Holy SEC bias there. Because I feel like you should make the argument for Fernando Mendoza in Indiana. He got Indiana undefeated He got Indiana to win at
I
Austin Stadium.
also think Mendoza should be there. I didn't say win. I said should be in New York.
Should have brought up Mendoza instead of Pavia, I guess.
Well, but the Mendoza is the favorite right now, right?
SEC bias, personally.
All right.
Mendoza's the favorite right now, yes.
JP, can you put down?
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it, because did you write down the picks?
Yeah, they're in there.
Okay, perfect.
Bum, 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 bum.
Bro, I literally have
3 buys.
I literally have on 3+, and it's not gonna let me.
Bum.
You don't need to know. It's a sign. It's an omen.
No, I want to know. How do I see just what Steve Wiltfong is saying?
You can go probably to the player because he put in the prediction.
But I don't know which player it's
Well,
for.
but you'll know if it's Womack or not if you go to Womack.
That's all
and
that
there's not a
matters.
prediction.
True.
Buy or sell, Miami will make the playoffs. They debuted at 15 in last week's poll. They picked up another win, comfortable, handled business. So now the question is, do you think they have to win out, but then also that the right scenarios happen in front of them for them to sneak in?
Yeah, so who was above them coming into the weekend was, of course, a bunch of teams, but Texas was above them
Yeah.
and lost. Utah won, BYU won, Vanderbilt didn't play. OU, of course, got a huge win. So really only Texas has dropped behind them. So I'd imagine they're sitting at 14 this week unless they, for whatever reason, because Vanderbilt lost to the bye week, Starkville High, they move Miami above Vanderbilt, which would be a statement. But that might change if Vandy wins at Tennessee, of course. They need to get to like 10, realistically. Because if they're not winning the ACC champion and the Group of 5 champion will be 10 or will be 11 and 12. So they
Sure.
need to get to 10. So one team is gone. They now are at 14, and they need about 3 or 4 other teams to drop. So they're going to need BYU to lose again, Utah to lose again, Oregon lose to USC, stuff like that. I will sell, personally. I think it's a long shot. I think it's enough to talk about, but I'll be surprised if enough teams above them lose in big games because I think BYU is going to beat Texas Tech, and I
Sure.
think Texas Tech will be above them and still in the playoff. I think even if USC beats Oregon, I think USC should jump Miami because they will have.
Would Oregon drop below Miami?
I would argue no,
Yeah.
probably. Their 2 losses would look a lot better, of course, even if they're at home for them.
Yeah.
And then
I just think it's a really long shot.
That's fair.
their best win is Penn State on the road. Miami's best win is Notre Dame.
No, I think Oregon's best win is Penn State on the road, but they also won at Iowa
Yeah.
in a really, really impressive way. I get it. Miami has the win over Notre Dame, but they also have 2 really, really bad losses to Louisville and SMU, who are both unranked at this point.
Yeah, I'm also going to sell. I think they'll get close. Like, I expect them to finish higher than 15th, but getting to 10's a little sketchy.
They might be in the Pop-Tart Bowl again.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I don't think Miami fans would enjoy that.
Yeah.
but
They'll be there next year when the North Sellers just.
I enjoy the Pop-Tart Bowl. It seems like a little much, and then also with how we know the committee views the ACC, it just seems a little unlikely. I will say the fact they jumped from 18 to 15 is the only reason I have a bit of hope because it almost seems like maybe they view them differently than the rest of the ACC.
Yeah. You also have to be confident that Miami is going to win their last 2 games.
Correct.
And knowing Miami, there's a non-zero chance that they, with 2 road games in a row, they do not win both those games.
Oh, 100%.
So I will sell.
3 buys, 3 sells. I got to make these better, apparently. We got to have some controversy here. Next one, Texas will make the playoff. I said before the Georgia game that I thought Texas would be the most likely team to make it at 9-3 in the SEC. But now that Georgia game happened, and it wasn't a pretty loss. It's not even like you just went into Athens and dropped a close one. And then also you still have to beat A&M, too, to make that happen, and then hope that you would get in at 9-3. But y'all's thoughts on this?
It will. I mean, this holds a lot of impact on what it'll look like on Tuesday.
Oh,
Do they
100%.
drop below Miami?
It's a
Then
guessing game at this point.
it'll probably be an outside chance. But beating, at that point, Texas A&M, the best SEC team and number 3 team in the country.
Give you 3 top 15 wins.
Yes, they'd have a win over OU, the win over A&M, and a win over Vanderbilt, which if Vanderbilt makes the playoff, that's even better for them. I think this has a better chance than Miami, personally. I don't see... The performance won't help them, so I think they'll drop below Miami, but I think that win over A&M will mean a ton. And so I think they'll have a better chance. I don't expect them to make the playoff. So maybe it's Texas and Miami in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, which that'd be great.
Cinema.
Because last year it was Iowa State and Miami, and those are 2 teams that kind of just barely missed the playoffs.
Sure.
So it is pretty much our most prestigious bowl game outside of the New Year's Six bowl games. So Texas and Miami.
Those are playoff games.
Can we add that one at the end? Texas, Miami, Pop-Tart Bowl, buy or sell?
Yeah.
But I'll sell, but I think this is more likely.
Cool. I'm also going to sell. I think I would honestly buy if I could get the value of Texas at 9-3 makes it. But the fact that you still have to go beat A&M, I just don't think there's too many things that have to go your way for it to happen for me to buy.
Yeah. It is in Austin, right?
Correct, yeah.
On Black Friday.
Black Friday, it'll be a great crowd.
I will also sell, but...
I mean, I'm scared for that game.
Yeah, I think you should. I think you should be scared in the same way that every team that plays Florida should be scared.
Texas could be 5-7. I'd be scared. It's a rivalry game.
It's a rivalry game, and Texas is still one of the most talented teams in the country. So I will also sell, though. I just don't see it happening. Tough overthrow to Saquon Barkley for JP's fantasy team.
Brutal. So we're all selling that.
Yeah.
Next one, Shane Beamer gets fired at the end of the season. The sentiment was already kind of turning on Shane Beamer in terms of the South Carolina fan base, at least the portion of the South Carolina fan base that I am exposed to, which is the Twitter portion. So you never really know how accurate of a picture
That's probably
that
the most
is.
sensible and
exactly.
thought-out portion, too.
But especially after how that game ended and blowing that lead to A&M, I think the sentiment that had kind of been growing is kind of fully out there in terms of we got to move on. He's not the guy. Now the question is, do we think the athletic department will agree with that and fire him? Is the purpose of this buy and sell? Thoughts?
I will sell because I think... Oh, I was about to start writing it in. I think that they'll just try to encourage him to take the Virginia Tech job because then they don't have to fire him and pay his buyout.
At this point, he may not even be the first choice for the Virginia Tech job is the problem.
Yeah.
James Franklin.
We're getting James Franklin buzz right now.
I know we're getting James Franklin buzz.
Or they go after Bob Chesney at JMU.
Yeah, maybe.
Who I honestly would prefer over Shane Beamer if I was them.
Yeah.
Or Tony Elliott.
Or Tony Elliott, though that would hurt UVA fans.
I'll still sell just to create some controversy, and I'll say that he leaves of his own free will.
Okay.
I'll say that he realized his time there is up with Lenore Sellers leaving either to the NFL or the portal. Is Dylan Stewart a sophomore?
He is a sophomore. He cannot go.
Cannot go. I think he's just going to realize that it's kind of everything sour there and just get out.
I think I'm going to buy. I think they'll can him. I think a ton of it depends on if they manage to beat Clemson or not, to be honest. I think that he'll almost be coaching for his job in that game.
Yeah.
But I just think I don't think he'll win that game. I think the fan base is right in a lot of their sentiments in that he's not really recruiting fantastic, though I know he's in a terrible position to try and do so. You're this little bro in your own state. You don't have tons of resources. But still at some point the coach takes some blame for that. And then the in-game management is just simply not great. Talking about how he mishandled the end of the A&M game. You let A&M make that comeback. And I think there's a lot of portions of in-games, besides all the Beamer ball stuff where they get frisky with special teams, where I think he's a great motivator as a head coach, but I don't think he's the best in-game head coach. And so I think those two factors will lead to him getting fired.
I'm a buy. I think he'll get fired because I think he's going to lose the Palmetto Bowl against Clemson.
Sure.
They haven't won the Palmetto Bowl in South Carolina in over a decade. I'm sure I'm pretty sure it's actually longer than that. It was a stat I read in our preseason preview for SC.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be 4-8 to end the year, and I don't think he's now in the running to get that Virginia Tech job unless he's already signed the paper, and they won't announce it yet because the season's not over. But I think he will be fired officially by South Carolina post losing the Palmetto Bowl.
Sure.
So I'm gonna buy.
I wonder who they'd hire. I'd be interested to see
South
like
Carolina?
where they fit in the pecking order. Not very favorably, I wouldn't think, but
No.
Given the cycle, yeah, it wouldn't be very favorably. But it's an SEC job. That
still is appealing to somebody.
I think it's for me personally, biased of course in this tremendous state, tremendous opportunity to recruit.
Is that where Dabo goes? Because he said, fire me and I'll just go somewhere else and win.
No,
He's already got the recruiting laid out there.
if he goes anywhere, it'll be to Bama after Bama loses or fires DeBoer
In a
when
panic
he's
move.
10-3,
Yeah,
losing the home playoff game to Georgia Tech
sure.
and Haynes King.
That'd be cinema.
Happy cinema.
Haynes King almost got him once in his career.
This is true.
Had A&M 4th and goal on the 5, down 5.
This is true. In Tuscaloosa, right?
That
That was okay. Who was the quarterback of that game?
It had to have been Zach Calzada was the in Tuscaloosa thing, which is such a fever dream that
Yeah.
Zach Calzada led team.
Had
that-
him on the ropes.
That-
Jalen Milroe started that game, and A&M had
Yeah.
Bama on the ropes.
Jalen Milroe, I think, fumbled 4 times
Yep.
in that game. So thank you for that, Jalen Milroe. We needed it. And Devon Achane kickoff return.
Yes.
Go. That game honestly maybe top 5 for me too. That just because the chaos and insanity of winning that one. This one comes from resident chatter Chromie, but Jimbo Fisher coaches in 2026, and I'll admit it to be a little more specific. Coaches college football in 2026.
Bye.
Yeah.
He's 100% coaching.
Okay, for the exercise. Obviously, this doesn't matter for buying or selling, but just take your shot of where he's going to go.
Auburn.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, Jimbo Fisher. I would love that personally, and then he probably would beat us next time he played him.
Pete Nakos, the guy who leads all of this for On3.
Yeah,
I don't know a ton of his work, but the industry loves all of his work and knows a bunch of his work, and they trust him so much that I don't think he would be high on boards for coaching boards for teams for
Yeah.
no reason.
sure.
So I think he wants to get back in. He's been doing ACC's game day.
Yeah, like
ACC's
the SEC network
Nation.
equivalent. Yeah,
I saw him outside of the Georgia Tech Clemson game.
sure.
He's breaking it down right there on the lawn on North Avenue. I think he wants to get back into coaching. I think he will have a job somewhere. I think it's very easy to spin the A&M tenure in a positive light towards him somehow, which is called delusion.
I mean, he can say I can
can
recruit with the
recruit.
best of them.
And he can say that. He can also say he's won a national championship. No one really can say that.
True.
That's out there for hire.
I mean, he has
right
to
now.
spin that as a learning experience. He has to go into a meeting with an AD and be like, I effed up and here's how. But now that I know that, I know not to do that again, basically.
Yeah, I think he'll be a head coach.
I'm going to say Missouri. Because I think someone takes Elia
Yeah.
and then he takes the Missouri job.
Does LSU take Elia?
I think
I hope they do because they'd be terrible.
I think Elia goes to Penn State.
Oh.
I'd hate because they're just hiring the same coach.
Yeah.
Penn State?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what's so funny about it and so perfect.
Jeff Lebby has a higher ranked win than Elia Drinkwitz.
No, I agree.
Can we find out his middle name so we can call him by his full Elia?
Yeah, I'll get on that in a second after I read out this last buy or sell.
Well,
that
can
you
we
just
can we
added.
workshop this one because I want to be sure it
I was about to.
reads
So
well.
Sanders just typed, getting Jacob Rodriguez a rushing touchdown is okay. Jacob Rodriguez being Texas Tech star linebacker that people are pushing for Heisman. And I would change it to like getting Jacob Rodriguez a rushing touchdown helps his Heisman case or something like that.
Oh, see, but I am on the same page with you there. You just hate it. You think it's stat.
Well, I mean, he's welcome to get a rushing touchdown. I'm fine with it. It just does nothing to influence me in terms of him getting the Heisman or not. Like, I just think that's stat padding in that regard. And it's a different story if he had been used as a running back all season. That was an established thing.
Yeah.
But to week 12, when you're playing UCF, who's terrible, decide you're going to put in your linebacker to get a rushing touchdown for fun, sure, that's one thing. But to, like, admittedly be to try and help his Heisman case, I think is stupid. I get that, like, his odds of winning the Heisman as a linebacker are basically 0.
Yeah.
But he's a fantastic linebacker. And so that just doesn't move me at all, personally.
Yeah, so the reason I said is okay initially is because I think it's kind of funny, and I don't mind the coach doing it at all. And I don't remember what you said, but I feel like Jack, you were pretty negative about the coach doing it and like calling it stat padding and just being like, this is just dumb, like it doesn't matter. I just think it's like if it works, I was going to say there's no reason not to. There are sometimes reasons not to, but I have zero problem with the coach putting a guy out there on the field to run it, and then in post game, like the direct quote was, "Everyone's talking about a quarterback winning the Heisman, so we put him in at quarterback." I think that's kind of funny. Like, I kind of like it. I don't think he should win the Heisman. I don't even think he should be in New York, but I still think it's funny. I kind of like it.
Sure.
If we're buying and selling what's up there, which is it's helping his Heisman cause,
I would sell that.
We can make it go back to okay if we want. I just feel like okay is so vague.
That's why I wanted to workshop.
I would still buy that. I would definitely buy the okay.
You would buy
scoring
that
a
helps
touchdown
his
is
Heisman
scoring a touchdown. I don't really care who you are or how you did it. It's a feat. It's the ultimate goal of the game is to score touchdowns.
Well, winning.
Winning is the ultimate goal of the game, but you win by scoring touchdowns.
It is a key to the ultimate goal of the game.
I guess you can win by kicking only field goals.
Yeah, but say you
or
win
safeties.
by stopping them.
So JP's,
I would
you're
buy.
buying. I'm selling because I just don't think it helps. Like, I don't think any voter is going to go, oh, because he got a rushing touchdown, now I'm going to vote for him.
Okay, well, what if he gets 4 more?
We'll see if that happens then.
It's 5 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Regardless,
It's more passing touchdowns than Markowski.
even if he gets his 5 rushing touchdowns, his Heisman case is going to be predicated on his skill and impact and statistical gains as a linebacker.
He's a two-way player.
Okay.
I'm selling this. I do not think that him getting a rushing touchdown helps the Heisman case.
I think he needs some receiving touchdowns.
But I am
Sure.
buying.
Maybe put him in as kick returner.
I like
No.
that the
Kick a
coach.
field goal.
Maybe.
That'd be.
Look,
Your laptop just died.
No, it just turned off because
there
I
we go.
quit moving. J.J. Watt 1 year in the NFL got a big MVP talk because he had touchdowns. Not only he had I think a fumble recovery for a touchdown and a pick 6, but he also had 3 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he was getting MVP talk because of that. So I think if J. Rod gets that, then the rushing touchdown, the first one, only helps, of course, because it only helps
You
towards
gotta
the
start
counting
somewhere.
numbers.
I just think they would have had to start this train earlier in the season.
I don't
Yeah.
think they thought that this was going to be that
Correct.
likely.
And so now all
So
you're doing
Joey
is pushing a
Maguire,
Heisman case.
Yeah, they want
Yeah.
to push it now.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
I mean, you
the
should
coach did
advocate for your own players.
Right.
But as someone that's not a Texas Tech fan, I just am like, I don't care.
it. Yep. All right.
You know how many people have scored a rushing touchdown against UCF this season?
A lot.
A lot of people. A lot. It is what it is.
That is.
Anything
everything.
else?
I
No?
can't wait to see Armbuster pitch in 2027.
Sure. I can't wait to see
Armbuster.
Braylon Womack in some maroon and white, hopefully. Though, if he comes back for the Egg Bowl, there's a chance.
There
It's
is
not
a
over
chance.
till it's over.
There is a chance. I've seen Steve Wiltfong project us to land guys that we did not land. So
I am a little like, I guess it doesn't matter 'cause it's a different class, but we have 2 top 50 safeties coming in next year. So it's just going to be a lot. Like, I wonder if
Wait,
one of them will leave
27 or
in
26?
2027. So I wonder if, like, one of them, if we got Womack, I wonder if one of them would decommit. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's weird. I'm going to say we get out of here because I'm trying to get to the store before it closes.
Schubert. I got some Arc Raiders to play.
That store closes 56 minutes, so I'm chill. But
In
Lucy
6
wants
minutes?
some true fruit. 60-ish minutes. It closes at 11.
Cool.
So
Well, let's dip.
thank you all for tuning in. It was a great show. I loved the state talk. I think we had some good things to say about the SEC matchups. JP, it was cool that you got to go. I was really sick. And thanks to everyone who tuned in the chat. It means a lot. And, yeah, we'll be back for y'all Tuesday to recap an NFL slate. That was quite exciting. We hope to see y'all then. Peace.
See ya.